Button recording. Hey, everybody, this is Podcastforwe, a podcast for me and him, as well as a podcast for you guys. I'm your host, K-Dog, and we got Evil Maximus over here, and we're going to talk about the finer things of life. It's been a while since we've done this. Well, for me, I was playing Last of Us 2, so I've been pretty busy. And then, we tried to do one here and there, but it just didn't work out. So, how you been?
Yeah, I bet. No, I've been busy, man. Trying to be outside, not among people, but just be doing more stuff. Um, Getting ready to go back into work here pretty soon.
What does that even mean in COVID land?
It means trying to wrap my head around how we're gonna work with kids at the beginning of a school year from a distance.
Have they come up with a plan?
Yes, actually. So we've been using this online distance learning platform, right, for years. I want to say maybe 6 or 7 years. And the cool thing is the local junior colleges all use it. A lot of schools around the country use it. It's called Canvas. Have you ever heard of it? No? Well, we've been using it at my school for a long time. One of my cousin's husband is studying to be a firefighter. His classes are on Canvas. I know people at the junior colleges around here that are on Canvas. It's a pretty big thing. We're not using that.
What? Wait, what?
we have it. A lot of people are familiar with it, but in our district, a lot of teachers haven't been using it, even though they had access to it. They just didn't want to change what they were doing. And some of them had some familiarity with Google Classroom, so that's what we're going to use, Google Classroom.
That's what we use for my kids' school. Even before this hit, we've been using Google Classroom, and then when they hit, they just kept they kept doing it. Which I have. Okay, check it. I think this is a very doable system, no matter what system you do, as long as there's uniformity and a concept of what you're doing. And I'm not getting that on my end, so I don't know.
No, yeah, my department, my science department, we're pretty gung ho about just, we got to do it. Really, they said they'd give us a year to transition from Canvas to Google Classroom, but we said, you know what? No, let's just do it. And the district made this weird move to switch principals in the middle of all this, this drama that's going on, and it's a bit of a controversy right now. But the principal was like, hey, you know what? Let's just do it now. And I was meeting with her today, and we were just like, we're way ahead of you. We're ready to go. We're ready to start moving all of our shit over from one place that's working perfectly fine into another place that we're gonna have to learn how to use. So
yeah, it's okay for the one, but for the many, it's kind of a hard thing to do because you can't have a uniformity there. Well, hopefully, I mean, it's more variables when you have more people involved. If it was the
right, there would be more training involved, but the problem is the system, it does everything, and colleges are using it, and they're going to it for distance learning.
No, I agree with you, man, but they're on the if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mentality.
That's what it is.
Those are systems. There's a lot of systems in place within our government and our country.
But here's the thing, though. A big thing that the district has been pushing, first best instruction, right? College preparation. So why isn't the first thing that we're using going to be the best thing that we've already been using? And we already have a lot of people that can train other people in the district. And if we're preparing them for college, why not use what the colleges are using?
Oh yeah, I hear your sense is very sound, but when it comes to systems, like I said,
yeah, you're right.
They're never budging, and that's most of what we talk about when we're talking about Black Lives Matter, police and government. These systems are always just here, and whenever you put thoughts into it, the system's like, nope.
And here's kind of maybe transitioning now. The system, the way it works right now, works for most people. Talking about our society.
Yeah.
how they enforce laws and things like that. The workplace, I mean, it works for most people. And so this resistance to change, it makes sense to me, because for most people it ain't broke, so there's nothing to fix.
Yeah, I agree.
And until they're incentivized to change, they're not going to see the point.
And that's like with everybody. It is a very weird. You have to have incentive to change, and so that people just won't change. That's why you always have to work around. And see, that's the thing. A philosophy of thought that I don't think is being utilized within everybody's mind is it's not about so much as changing the system, it's kind of working around it to then create something new. Like for instance, recycling, right? I recycle, but it's not because I'm like pro earth or whatever. It's not like I was anti-earth either, but I was never going to go out of my way to recycle. What changed it? Someone made a workaround. They just put a recycling. No, not that. No, not just that. It's just easy. Someone put a recycling bin, and then here's my trash instead of going into the trash. It doesn't really bother me. So it's a thing, to do. So like, I mean, that's how we have to do. We have to work around the system, and then a change will happen.
You're right. In my work, usually when we try to put something together that everybody has to use, my frame of thought is to give people less to have to learn or to do, because everybody's always doing a lot, right? Anytime you ask somebody to do something else, instead of push 2 buttons, push 3 buttons. It's like, you're increasing my work by 50%.
So true. True. Yeah. Some people.
So I always got to think, how can I minimize this so that it's very low impact?
I'm a teacher in that respect then, because like, I do that too. When I'm talking to a person, when there's a conversation. Now, my goal is for them to understand the information. Do I need to give them everything? No, because it just confuses them. Now, if it's a person who's able to listen, then yeah, but most times I'm just like, I'm just going to tell them the bits rather than tell them the entirety of things, because it's just too hard to understand.
That's elegant design. That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Less is more, and the more you can do with less, the better, because you save time and you're more effective.
And that doesn't always apply. It's just that I think like you and me and most people, we try to break things down to some simplistic things. It's simplistic to say that's all I do, but really it's a rhythm, push pull. If this person can handle the conversation, we're going there. If they can't handle the conversation, most times I'm just going by like a baseline. 1 + 1 is 2. We're not getting into algebra anytime soon. But then like boom, and that's just with any conversation. Like I'm not going to talk about Clone Wars with somebody. I just not. But if they seem keen in the conversation, Clone Wars, this and that, and I'm like, oh yeah, hey, well Nathan Filoni, all that.
So, you watched the making of Mandalorian? Did you watch the whole thing?
I got past the practicals, and then I stopped there. But
you watched the whole thing.
Pretty much. But let's talk about the volume. Did we talk about that last time?
No, we didn't. I wanted to talk to you about it, but I haven't really told anybody about it because of how cool it is.
It's hard to understand, but it's simplistic when you see it.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I was like, no, but like all movies should do this at a grand scale. I mean, that circle thing works pretty good, but I mean, if you could just, as it stands, that's it. You don't need to do anything else.
It gave the movie so much scale. Like I thought they were filming on location. It looks like they filmed almost the entire thing in that volume. And there were some scenes where they were doing like maybe in episodes 1 and 2, you didn't realize they were in the volume. They were recording and they were like interviewing them and they were talking, and it looked like they were out in the desert somewhere. So I kind of want to go back and watch the first couple episodes, because then I was like, shit, were they in the volume?
I went back, and it's hard to tell, but you can kind of tell that they're in there, but it's almost seamless. It's just like it's a more advanced version of the old Star Wars, and that's why they're so good, is because the puppetry and everything like that. That's not G or anything.
For your listeners or viewers, what the volume is, it's like, remember back in the days in the 20s where they had the rear screen projection, and they were like, look like they're running, but the background is the thing that's actually moving, or they look like they're driving and then the background's actually moving. The volume is this 360-degree thing, and it even goes over the top to actually use the light from the environments to light the people. So you always have perfect lighting.
And what he means by environment, for those who don't understand, and that was kind of confusing to understand when you were saying it, the environment is actually just the screen. So the light is coming off the screen, which illuminates you. And seeing that it's probably 4K TVs all around them, it's what?
Think the Truman Show, just not that big. Because in the Truman Show, I don't know if you remember, the sun tracked along the sky, but they controlled where the sun was and when it rose and when it set.
Equated those two. I always thought it was a big light, but it could have been just a TV screen, kind of. I mean, because it did have stage lighting. You know what I mean?
They did have stage lights for the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all would have had to move with it.
Volume is when you have that kind of screen and CG programming, you know, because they had to program that shit. So
video game technology.
Yeah, they're creating depth to it. And I thought, like, when you see the making of, it doesn't look right. It looks actually pretty fake. But when you put that and the CG balance between the two, it's the next evolution of making movies.
It looks trippy because when you see the making of, they're off angle. And so you're seeing the camera that's recording for the scene, the area behind it in the volume changes to give that parallax, that shift. So like if I'm coming this way, you know, the background shifts accordingly, kind of to give you that sense of depth. But if you're looking at it off angle, you see like this blur that's shifting around on the volume depending on where the recording camera is at. And yeah, it looks totally shitty. It looks wrong.
It does.
The way they leave everything else there is so that natural light is still hitting the characters.
Yeah, it looked like a video game from when you're seeing it the making of. Like, it just looks all pixelated, and it looks dumb, you know. But I mean, fuck, dude, when you see the entire effect, they're there, dude. Man,
did you see where they were like, oh, you know what, the Razor Crest, it would look better like over here, and they're moving it in real time. There's like a guy with VR, and he's like moving it. He's like, yeah, right there's good. And I was just like, they just like picked up this massive shit, moved it, put it down, you know.
And I like how organic it was that they came up with that, because Jon Favreau's working on the Jungle Book, and he's got a combination of screens and an environment, and then he would just move the screens, and then he was just like, what would happen if we were just in a huge screen, and then you put environments in there? And from making
the first time I saw that was in Oblivion with Tom Cruise. They have like an old school version of the volume, and it was for the scenes where they're in their apartment, you know, and they're doing the scenes in the apartment. They just had like, they were just projecting the sky view and all that around it. So that's kind of where it started, but the volume is way more advanced than that because it's integrated with the camera system.
Well, if I don't know why this isn't a bigger deal. Like when you're talking about it, I was just like, whatever. But when you see it, and then you remember how good it was, like Avatar, like millions, but they must have saved so much money. All they have to do is build a couple sets, and you need some. I mean, if they just keep doing that, it's the next evolution from space.
They still have to go to those locations, but it would just be to put a 360-degree camera right there.
Yeah, you're only out like one guy and a camera, if anything.
And you could just post up out there all day long.
As opposed to a character, a group of people, like a crew. You know? And
they need to fly out there.
Food, water, all these drinks and shit, whatever the writers want, you know, whatever the writer, meaning whatever the actor wants. He wants, like, I want cheese, I want bacon, I want this, I want that. You know, they have to provide that. No, nothing. You just guy with a camera, boom, done.
Now there is something still to be said about, like, you know, being on a location. You know,
I don't know, man. That looked really good.
It looked awesome, but you'd be hard pressed to get shots like they did in Interstellar.
I hear you. Well, fuck, dude. I hear what you're saying, but I mean,
a lot of that would have to be CG.
Oh, that's
a lot of Interstellar is on location. The edges and out are CG.
I hear you, but the space battles are in space.
Oh yeah,
and they use localized it. So I mean, you're gonna have to do that. But no. I think like
But for fantasy stuff, I think this would be really easy. You know, it'd be cool.
Earthfall.
Like there's video game environments that are like really well fleshed out and designed, and really if they don't look so good, it's because they have to dumb it down for the systems that we're on, right? We're not using big old fucking computers and shit. They could take those environments and stick them in the volume.
I just with the volume, like if you could just, what is the word? I don't know. Like we have cell phones now, we can record at like epic scales. If we just had a volume ourselves, man, we could just make like top of the line production. I mean, like if they were to rent that area out, it's a complicated thing to explain, and it'd be a complicated, but when you see it, it
Yeah,
works.
you gotta watch it. It makes sense when you see it. You're like, oh fuck, that's.
I want all movies to use this system because it is far superior. Can you imagine the TV shows that can use
lighting, dude? Just for the lighting. Just because the hardest thing when you put like they talk about it there, when you put like a CG character in front of them, you have to do the reflections on their helmets and shit. There's one scene where the Mandalorian, he's like walking. I think it's like the beginning of the first episode, the second episode. He's walking and those things are like jumping around.
Yeah.
And you see it on his helmet. Yes. That was on the volume.
Yeah.
But it shows up so well on his helmet.
I know they had to do less work because of the volume. They only had to do CG for the volume, and then kind of works off of him. Yep. It was amazing. Like I can only see a couple times where you don't need it, but like it would cut costs like by a lot. I can't see why a lot. I'm sucking this dick way too hard, but I'm just saying, shit was amazing, and I can only imagine all the movies that the boxing rings, everything, dude. Any movie would look awesome in this thing. Like Coliseum. Imagine like any kind of Coliseum like fight, like Gladiator, you could literally put them in there and it would look real. Because it looked real, Like even when they're in a bar, they made a bar look real. And they're in a bar. Yeah. That was a house or warehouse. That was a couple of set designs. It's at the volume.
Yeah, a lot of almost the whole damn show is just like practical stuff in the middle of it, and then the background is it. But then again, the only thing you can't really do in those scenes is like any moves where the camera goes up.
I was into like a waterfall. If you're looking down on a water, but if you think about it, just think about it. You just put it the floor. You just
that'll probably be next. They'll be walking on TVs.
That would be the next fucking thing. I mean, like, why not, right? I mean, but damn, dude, I was like, great. But I'm glad you brought up that the volume. Was it episode 2, the directors? Or no.
Yeah, Dave Filoni. Who they're interviewing. I think that was the first or second episode.
Well, Dave Filoni redefines all of Star Wars with his comments from Duel of Fates and on. And you and me disagreed.
So
I rewatched it recently, right before
I kind of always wondered why it was called Duel of Fates, right? The track. It just sounded really cool. I was like, wow, Duel of Fates. Cool. That sounds so cool. Dave Filoni's breakdown on it. Now, I seen some YouTube videos where it said like, oh, Dave Filoni changed the trilogy for, well, no, it's not that earth-shakingly changing, the trilogy, the prequel trilogy. But it was I really liked that idea that it was a duel between two possible fates that Anakin could have had. If Qui-Gon had won, then he would have been the one to raise Anakin. And a lot of people argue that, Qui-Gon was the last true Jedi. He had goodness, and he was recognizing people's needs, and he was the real negotiator and all that. Ian McGregor, a little bit more of a product of Qui-Gon and the Council, and the newer way of thinking. The Council wasn't really thinking the old way; they were thinking a newer way, which kind of went against what the previous Jedi Code was. And Obi-Wan never. It wasn't his choice to go and take Anakin off this planet and train him. He felt like he was indebted to his master, and that's why he took it on. So, it's almost like it's not even like a foster parent. It's almost like a I don't know. It's just like I got this kid on me, and I'm doing it not so much for the kid, but for the guy that trained me. So that was the one fate that was dueling. The other fate was, you know, um, to defeat that possibly good of Anakin, and then leave him exposed or vulnerable to the Emperor coming in and imposing his influence on him.
You're feeding into his narrative. I mean, he links the first three Star Wars and beyond all the way to Return of the Jedi, and he does it really eloquently, and it works. A lot of the stuff works, except for I bring umbrage with that first part of the Duel of Fates when he starts saying that. He starts saying that, yeah, they fight this bad guy, obvious bad guy, and then they have to fight him, and he's fighting for whether he's gonna be Anakin's dad, and like I disagree, because that's just, it's like if I looked at a painting and I say it's a river, and then you look at a painting and you say no, it's a storm. Meanwhile, it's a blank slate. There's nothing there. They are fighting literally just to fight. Like, I mean, there is no narrative in that. So let's fast forward the tape, right? Well, actually, we don't need to. When Qui-Gon dies, Darth Maul is whatever the fuck. What's his
Right.
name? Anakin takes up the arms. If it wasn't Anakin, it would have been something else, because supposedly this was the plan all along. That's where this all goes. This is the plan all along, is to raise Anakin in some way or form, and then corrupt them. But like these people fighting here mean nothing. They really don't. If they were to win, which they do, kind of, either way, he was going to be trained by a Jedi. Now it'd be kind of tricky though if they all die. If say Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon die, right? So who's going to train the kid? I'm pretty sure there was a plan in place, but that's not what happened. That's not what plays out. So you got these two people fighting this one guy, and the only reason they're fighting is because they see him and they decide, yeah, this shit's going to happen. That's it. And they go do do do, and then like the princess, all her shit is happening as at the same time. And guess what? She wins.
Here's the thing.
Right, man.
Why call it Duel of Fate then?
The song is great. I love the song, and you can say, you can argue and say, yeah, because there's two fates going on. You could argue that Duel of Fates is playing at the same time the princess is doing her thing and the Jedi are doing their thing.
Here's the thing. Fate is akin to destiny. That we have some plan.
I hear you.
Ahead of us, and that's that's faith based. That's a religious look at it.
I hear you.
And so sometimes there's a saying, God works in mysterious ways. Why did he take this person from us, or why did he hit this place with the tornado? God works in mysterious ways. There's a reason in the future. I kind of think of a lot of things that I went through that ended up bringing me to you, and to the rest of my brothers. Even though what had to happen in my timeline was very, very tragic, it led me to the fate that I have now, with you all. So a lot of times I couldn't have seen that. I lost my brother to cancer. It's hard to paint a line from one thing to the other thing, but I have to believe that the good that came out of it was possibly a plan. Now remember, I teach science, right? I'm not supposed to pick one or the other. I'm supposed to be looking at facts and data and all that. The causality between my brother dying of cancer and me making these awesome friends, it's not there. Yet it's there. You know what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying loud and clear, but that has nothing to do with what I'm saying. You're using, okay, that's a different philosophy that we can go in detail if you want, but that's not even what we're talking about here. You're right. A bunch of things have to happen for Anakin to go and become what he wants to, or what he has to be, in the end. But really, they're there. Those two Jedi are there to help the princess.
Yeah. Look,
is there.
No doubt.
That guy.
It's not like they said, hey, you know what? Let's go find a fight to decide the future of Anakin Skywalker.
And
obviously not.
but even then, that isn't even the fight to solve anything. Literally, if they don't, so if those two Jedi do not fight Darth Maul will fucking cut the princess down. But they decide to fight, so they're off on win or lose. It doesn't matter. They're good. The princess is going upstairs with her little gun, her little Batman gun, and they take over. They are going to win. That's their fate. And then you have another fate going on. And when he says that so eloquently, you know, like I'm saying this fucking word wrong. He says this, and it sounds so poetic, right? There's two fates, and he's doing this because he's fighting. That's not what's happening at all. He's not doing that. I mean, it does sound good, and you feed into it. But then if you can get past that part, everything he says works. Like, you know, if only Anakin had a father instead of a brother, then he could have been taught something else, and yada yada yada. But then again, I mean, it kind of like once you start thinking about it, though, Luke wasn't really raised by a dad; he was raised by his uncle. So, like, if that uncle was a father figure, it wasn't very clearly demonstrated. Like, you don't ever see a flashback. Oh man, if it wasn't for Uncle Owen, man, you know, all Uncle Owen did would hold him back. Who's really his? No one's really his father. He gets with Han, his best friend. Who's the guy who's the call to action? Obi-Wan. That wasn't like his dad at all.
For 2 days.
Yeah, and then he has this absurd reaction when he dies too. No, and then I'm like, where is this from? Like, I enjoy Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of things that Dave Filoni says, and it's good. It is good. I'm not saying it's bad. It is wrong though. It is him just finding patterns. It's if I fucking threw chicken bones on the floor and you said it's future, you see this bone right here out cracked is your dog coming back to life. You know what I mean? That's all he did.
But
like,
see, that's again, that's you're lensing it through something that's faith-based. You know, reading chicken bones.
It's not faith-based. It's
that takes
happening.
That's a religion.
No, I'm down for having, you know, double meanings and dual meanings. I'm good with that. That's not what's happening in these movies.
Yeah, I would be with you. Okay, George Lucas, you know, he wasn't really thinking that far ahead, or he wasn't meaning this, because I don't think he's ever said anything like that, right?
No.
Yeah, because I mean, Dave Filoni spit this out, and I was just like, shit, never thought of it like that.
Yeah, he's great, and like what I think is he's like, it sucks, man, but he's like the true master. He saw something and made something better out of it. You know what I mean? Like it's good.
Yes.
It's okay, and it has these themes, but it's not that great. But then Dave Filoni gets in there and he starts taking the mythos of a thing and makes it way fucking better.
You kind of wonder what the trilogy would have been like if he had been working on it with George Lucas back then.
Oh, it'd be way better, and you know it. I mean, that's just without fucking thinking. You know, that's the dual fates right there. Should have been him. No, making this.
What do you think right now they're trying to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy?
I seen that, but you know what? I've actually been seeing that for a while, thinking that's just a bunch of nerds.
No, she's under contract till the end of next year.
Can he slip in there? That'd be great.
Well, they're talking about Jon Favreau.
Oh, even better.
But a year and a half is a long time. I think Jon Favreau would be good to run it, but I think Dave Filoni should be his number 2 guy.
That's what you saw when you saw the gallery. That's what it was.
Yes.
Jon Favreau was there ushering her.
Did you kind of pick up on Kathleen Kennedy kind of trying to sound like important with questions, or like her trying to like poke in?
No, you know what? Very biased, and I'm very misogynistic. I didn't see any of that. I was trying to find ways and finding her to be stupid. I just think her actions were dumb, and then she did add things that were unnecessary.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, and she was talking about the back when she worked back in the day, and I'm just like,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When she would try to add in her things to kind of qualify herself.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit unnecessary, but I mean, she did add value. You are talking about George Lucas.
Oh yeah, of course. She's running Star Wars.
No, no,
She's
no, no, no.
there.
But yeah, she wasn't adding value like Dave Filoni was adding value.
Oh no, yeah, no.
Filoni was making up shit as he's talking about Star Wars, and everyone was like, oh, "It changed Star Wars forever," and I was,
I didn't think about that.
well, I mean, if he was right, yes, he is not right. No, everything he said was wrong, but it was cool. I like the idea that at the very end, Darth Vader gives up the power of the universe and whatever. That's not what's happening. Even if fucking say he lets Luke die, he still doesn't have any power of any universe. He has the Force. Nothing. It's too grandiose. I did like, however, there's a part where, and this is it's stupid writing. So the Emperor's sitting there, right? He goes, "Fucking take your lightsaber, take me down." Fucking, oh yeah, you want this shit. And then when Luke goes to get the lightsaber and he fucking strikes down, and then who stops him is Darth Vader stops him. And it would have been cool if it was a thing in which Darth Vader was doing that to save him without even knowing it. But then again, I don't know, like, because it's so badly written. Because I mean, what's the Emperor want to do? Just die? So like he kills the Emperor and now Luke's bad, and that was the plan? Or was he going to go inside of him, like the cockamamie plot of Rise of the Skywalker? Like what the fuck is that?
Now we kind of know
something, right?
No, and George Lucas didn't have this in mind back then, or maybe he did. I don't know, right? Because Clone Wars was already a thing. Cloning was already a thing in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, and that like
came out. So maybe he was cool with dying, because he knew that he'd be able to come back.
Yeah, right. I mean, fuck.
But
right?
Then again, George Lucas never said it.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, that's why my only problem with totally like doubting that George Lucas had to fight is the name of the score, that piece of score, Duel of Fates. I don't know. It feels like it was a clue, but it's been 20 years.
No,
I don't think George Lucas would have sat on that for 20 years and not said a word.
Like
or not even said anything since this video came out, about whether or not he agrees with Dave Filoni.
I really do think John Williams is the one who named it, and he named it as in like sees like two branching paths, and like he didn't think of it like, see, Dave Filoni thinks of it.
Might be right.
Yeah, I don't, because that's not happening there. They're not like fighting to be the father of Luke, and then like, or not Luke, Anakin, and then like Obi-Wan just does it to, for his buddy.
But then again, he also has scene titles, and a lot of times scores are named for whatever that scene title is. Jace or Asteroid Field or whatever.
Oh yeah, Asteroid Field. Yeah.
So, those, if I was some highfalutin Hollywood type, then I was able to talk to George Lucas or John Williams. I'd ask questions.
I'd like to go back in time and be there where George Lucas decides this is the duel, right? Because like, I wish there was someone there asking like, how is it Duel of Fates? I guarantee he would say
899.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. It's the princess has to do that fate, and the fucking Jedi got to do that fate, because really that's the only two things happening. There's actually three things going on. Anakin's up there in his little spaceship, accidentally fucking everybody up. And at the same time, the Queen is winning the war, and then at the same time, the Jedi, and like the only real thing that matters is the two parts up there where Anakin is accidentally destroying the thing, because that helps out the princess. If those two things don't happen, the only thing that really helps is the Jedi live or die, take Darth Maul out of the equation. Yeah. Because Darth Maul would have ended it right then and there. Like if once the door opens and the Jedi, they're dead. Whatever. So that's the only thing they do. But really, it's triple fates. If all three parts have to happen. So if anything, it'd be like triad of fates. Because like it.
Because remember, it's not. Yeah, but it's not dual, DUAL of fates. It's DUEL of fates. And
yeah,
duel,
two.
A saber duel or a gun duel is usually one person versus another.
Once again, you could turn that into the fate of this fucking planet. You know, if you have one fate where the bad guys are about to win, and you got the good versus bad. You know, you just break it down to that because that's
Yeah, you can do that.
because there are actually three things happening, and they all need to happen. Jedi need to take on Maul. They need to go upstairs to do something, and fucking Anakin needs to go and fuck everything up. And this is truly the essence of the Force. The Force is really what guides things and moves things a certain way.
And you're right. I mean, the only way to really know for sure would be to go back in 1999 and ask George Lucas.
Yeah.
You know what the intention was.
But then, if you look at everything he's made, the 6 movies that he made, not the last 3, the first 6, it really doesn't look like a coherent story. And there's a lot of bits and pieces. There's a lot of good parts in there, though. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of mythos. I wish you could break it apart and turn it back into something. You know what I mean? Like remake it as Knights or something. Because the concept of the Force is such a beautiful thing. Because like you were saying about destiny and everything like that, you have this all-powerful force moving things a certain way. And with that, you can explain away a lot of things. Like, why can Rey beat an ass? Well, fucking Force fucking wills that shit, you know? Why is it that this person needs to die? Well, fucking the Force kills this person. You know, and that's why you have a dark side and a light side. It really is no dark or light. It really is just like, at this time, the Force killed your dad. And this time, you come back and rise 10 times stronger, defeat all these other bad guys. Why are the bad guys taking over? So another hero could take over. Some shit like that. And I mean, like, you can go on forever. And that's really what life is, you know, like, it's not about good or bad. It's about what the fuck happened at this time, you know? You got like the old saying of the village, the guy finds $1 million, you know, it's a good day. And then it turns out going to bandits that kill his family. It's a bad day. The village is sad about this and makes him a king. Good day. You know, like, it just keeps on going on and on and on forever, you know? I mean, that's the beauty of the Force.
Yeah, it starts turning into Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings is tricky, though. Like, when you're going off the movies, it really is like vagaries that they're talking about, and
Yeah, you have to have read the books to really know what they're talking about.
There's nothing clearly defined. Like, this ring makes you invisible. That's it. You don't know anything about this fucking ring. It rules them all, and you're like, what the fuck does it do? It just makes a guy invisible.
Yeah.
That's all it did. But I mean, there's a beauty to those movies, though. I mean, you know, they didn't explain midichlorians or anything like that, you know? Because they explain every fucking thing, right? It's kind of mystical in a way, you know? But then...
And that's what the cool thing was.
Yeah.
That's why I liked the first 3 Indiana Jones movies. And then the 4th one just crapped on everything. Because there's nothing mystical about aliens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not part of the human experience yet.
Yeah, right? I didn't need to know how a guy rips a dude's heart out. Kale, blah, 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 blah. I didn't need to know that. It's just cool that it happens.
Right.
You know, everything in that movie, like, how the fuck is he going to beat up like, he beats up, like, huge dudes? I don't care. It's just a movie. You know? But when you start telling me interdimensional aliens, you know, surviving a nuclear bomb in a fridge, I don't know. Sometimes things get dated, I think. Like, you just can't have these things, you know?
No, you can have adventure movies.
Yeah, but you're not gonna, dude, okay. Like, in the 80s, if Indiana Jones crawls inside of a fridge and then survives a nuclear bomb, we're not questioning it. Then you get to the 90s or 2000s when he does do that in the 4th movie, he's at a nuclear testing site, he jumps into a fridge, it blows up, and he survives. I was like, fuck this.
Well, I mean, back in the 80s, they were kind of limited by technology, what they could do, which worked in everybody's favor because it means they didn't do crazy.
They did crazy things in there, and you just accepted it. Like when he jumps out of in Temple of Doom, jumps out of a plane inside of a float, and they fall like an unfathomable distance, and then hits the snow and slides, and then they get in the water, and that's fucking ridiculous, man. You're dead.
That is.
Yeah, but you accept it. When he goes and puts his hand in someone's heart and takes it, you accept it. Like everything else that was goofy in that movie, you just accept.
Yeah, but nuking the fridge goes like next level, though.
Yeah, that is next level. I think if you had that in the 80s, you're set, dude. You're fucking set. You wouldn't question it. Back then, you can make movies like that.
But to me, you know what? Nuking the fridge, that wasn't the worst thing of that movie. If anything, I had forgotten about it by the time I left. And then people started talking about nuking the fridge, and I was like talking about Indiana Jones?
Yeah,
To me,
it just builds.
was to me it was the look of the movie. Everything was green screen. Every fucking scene was green screen. Everything was indoors on a set somewhere, and I hated that. I thought it looked
It,
terrible.
it's a dated movie. Like when I watched it, I was like, it's like they made a newer version of the old Indiana Jones movie, and I have to say, I thought it was pretty good for Indiana Jones, but it was just too late. It was like if I made the never ending story again, which would be tight, but I mean, like it won't work. It just won't. Like there's some things you just can't make. You just
Yeah.
stop. Just stop. Move forward. People are different. You just can't have a Hail Hitler movie, and that's a good thing now. You got to be in Germany at the time, and make that all. Dude,
That makes it okay.
no, I mean, like there's like okay, for instance, Gone with the Wind. That fucking movie's gone because of not conspiracy, but the racial undertones of slavery that didn't exist, I guess, but it did. I don't know. You can't make movies like that anymore. You can't have any movie really.
There's a lot of things that a lot of people are putting contemporary views, and
Yes.
they're putting it on
Yeah.
something from its time.
You said a very complicated version of what I said to somebody else. I was like, you're trying to view something in the lens of time that you are now.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Like back in the day, you had the draft, and at the time, yeah, it was a good thing. Go fight World War II. Go fucking do it. You have the end of the world coming. Let's go and fight it. Now, if I were to talk about draft now, you're fucking trampling my civil liberties. You're trying back then we were trying to fucking stop the end of the world, but the eye of time, and that's what people are doing now. They're ripping out statues right now.
Now you can't even ask people to wear masks.
What do you mean? Oh, if you're protesting.
Uh,
Oh, I see what you're saying though. Like, I don't know. It's complicated because
there's a debate about it, and I don't think there should be.
there shouldn't be. It should be. Here's the sign. This is what you do.
Where's a mask? Wear a mask.
Done. Yeah, I agree with you. And it's weird too because people are fighting over that too. Like, you can't tell me to put on a mask. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, like, how do you go to a Starbucks?
Private establishment.
Yeah, that piece of shit lady. For those who don't know what we're talking about, there's a lady who got a barista and the Starbucks coffee maker, and the guy's just doing what he has to do. Hey, put a mask on. This bitch comes out of nowhere, is like, "Fuck you," and she doesn't say that, but she's like, "I don't have a wear a mask. I have issues." And,
There's a lot of those videos, yeah.
yeah, whatever the fuck. And what's a fucking evil thing that she did? So somebody made a GoFundMe account for that barista, and it was like $90K, and she wants a cut of that. She goes, you or her, I have death threats, so I deserve some of that money. And I was like, fuck, talking about double dipping. You fucked this dude over.
I didn't know about that. I knew about the GoFundMe for that guy.
Yeah, but she wanted some. That's how I knew about it. I didn't know about the GoFundMe. I heard about it after the fact.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's right. Some people, man, they fucking just double dip.
They don't understand that, they're going into a private establishment. It's like going into somebody's house.
I know. That's the same.
And if they're saying, hey, to come into my house, to my private establishment, you have to wear a mask.
The new thing now is like people saying, yeah, it's affecting the way I breathe and da 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 da. Don't go outside.
Fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah, don't go outside.
Shit.
So like I'm a perpetrator of this. Sometimes I'll forget my mask and I'll be in the store. But get this.
There's that. Yeah.
If they tell me to put the fucking mask, leave and put the mask on, I will. It's not like I mean, I'm courteous. If you like no mask, and I'm like, I try to wear the mask for the most part, and if I forget, but I'm never coming down on somebody for wanting me to wear the mask.
Right. One time I had it like down here. I was walking in, and I felt it on my ears, but I didn't think about it. And they were like, "Oh, mask, sir, please," and they were cool about it. And so I mean, even if they're not, oh, my bad.
Because it's not your place.
Yeah, not only that, it's just like, or thank you for reminding me, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that person that's there, they're not even the ones that made the rule.
Mm-hmm.
They're just doing their job.
Yeah.
Probably after having to be off the job for 2 months. And, they've got all their personal problems and shit. They got to stand there for 8 hours reminding people to put their masks on and probably get dirty looks all fucking day long. You
Yeah.
know, maybe only 8 of them, but that's enough. Those are the ones that you remember.
I've had people fucking flip out on me because I work pizza, which is gonna change eventually. Fucking, I think I got a job lined up as a medical assistant. Finally, go back to what I went to college for. But yeah. So I told this one guy, I was like, "Hey, yo, you gotta wear the mask," and the guy was like, "Fuck this shit, man." He ran away, and I was just like, "It's not like I give, dude. I do not fucking care. Like, you could die. I could die. I don't care. Like, I'm at a point in life where shit just happens." And we came up with that philosophy, just let shit happen. Like, if let people die. I mean, like, just
Yeah, shit happens.
because I mean, what are you gonna do? I keep telling people my philosophy of thought. I'm like, what we should have did is have this whole fucking thing open up, bunch of people die, and then people were like, oh, you know what? This is a real thing. Let's not politicize it. We just
But
lost percent.
a lot of people have died.
Not enough. Not enough.
Not enough. It's like one person from each household has to die
Dude,
for people to understand that this is a thing.
exactly. 9/11 takes out 3,000 people. We're all about it. But 100,000, not enough. Not enough, bro.
Well, that was the thing. Who did that happen to?
Rich people.
You remember? I mean, it was just
Yeah.
it's something that I've said before. And, it's just every time you hear about things that changed and got everybody galvanized.
10% is 10%. I'm pretty confident. I mean, if we don't get the idea, because it's supposed to be like around 10% or some shit like that. If we knock out 10% of the population due to COVID-19 and not wear fucking masks, I doubt we'd be like, nah, bro, this is a Republican thing, or this is a Democrat conspiracy theory, or some bullshit like that. That's such a weird thing, right? I am blown the fuck away
Yeah.
that dude. Okay, here's when I started like taking my red pill, opening the door, going through the fucking mirror, going through the fucking rabbit hole. When we shot, like, our government shot a couple missiles at a dude and killed him, like a bad guy. And so they shot a bunch of missiles, right? And so yeah, the Republicans and Democrats, they went into a room to see the evidence on why we killed this dude, right? They go in, they come out, right? And literally Democrats and Republicans were like, we should have done it. We should have done it. And I'm like, wait, there's no overlap? Like, I mean, like, you had like 100 people and they just decided to just split down to whatever, party they are, and I was just like, isn't killing a guy worth, the truth? But the truth doesn't exist if you have, because I'm blue, I say this, I'm red, I say this. So that's how fake that shit is. And now here we are in COVID, and we're literally like, well, what are our stats? What are our numbers? What really is 100,000 people? People are dying all the time, and then other people are like, hey, motherfucker, wear a mask.
There's science behind a lot of the things that they're asking people to do. This thing of, it's almost like, I'm a real patriot, so I'm gonna run around with the Confederate flag and no mask on and no social distancing because I'm not gonna let you take my freedoms. I don't get it.
And then also there's the double-edged sword, you got the Confederates, and then you got the Black Lives Matter. They're not wearing masks and shit. Some are. The ones that are fucking beating other people. But if you're protesting, you don't really have to wear a mask, even though you should. And you shouldn't gather in so many people, but I guess you can unless you're protesting. So that's where we're at.
Because we get to this thing of civil liberties. They're not gathering. Shit, it's because you do have to look at it black and white. At the legal part of it, that's pursuit of happiness.
But you're talking about for the common good, right? What's the goal if the United States is no more? That's why you suspend civil liberties.
Right.
If everyone's dead from a fucking virus, then there is no United States. So
right. The counter to that is that the fatality rate is less than 1%. Maybe less than half of a percent. The problem is the hospitalization rate is about 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Which is 1 in 10 people having to spend long stretches in the hospital. One, that's insane. Two, that's expensive.
Yeah, and not just that. Like, say you're dying of a heart attack, you can't get that bed.
Right.
Like the unintended consequence of other people trying to get into the hospital, but the hospital's full. I mean, there's levels to all of this. I'm just saying, like, what's your common good? You want to keep the United States kicking? All right. Well, I mean, why are we talking about protests in a pandemic? If the pandemic is important, let's not talk about, social commentary. You know, that shit's important. I'm not gonna
People
lie.
are dying. People are dying from,
Yeah. So it's like, what do you prioritize? Yeah, it sucks too because it's like I was thinking about this today. I was taking out the trash. I was just like, how how does one argue this? How do you argue this? Virus is killing people. That's important. People are dying in the streets from police. That's important. But I don't know. Like police, they have, like they got brains, and virus don't give a fuck. So I don't know what's more in times like this. I think we have to decide what is more important. You know,
Jeez.
because okay, let's just say the police doing what they're doing, and if you look at the stats, they're not killing as many people. And if you look at the stats for COVID, that's killing people. And the virus can grow and it can mutate and kill even more people.
Well, the thing is, it's not just the everything that's leaking out right now, and I think the fact that it's happening in 2020 is good because 2020 is like
a new era,
perfect vision, right?
Yeah,
like you're able to see clearly, and I think a lot of people have been making this argument that the pandemic kind of highlighted the inequities, between the haves and the have-nots.
no, you're the one who came up with that. You and maybe some people are thinking the right way. It is about the have and have nots, but people took that and turned it into a racial issue and then lost what it is. Yeah, you're right. It is mostly black people, but it is mostly just poor people. And once you start
Right.
once you start talking about it in that way, you're good. But then the counter to it would be you're a fucking racist piece of shit. You're not trying to look about who matters. And I'm like, well, really, it is poor people, and black people are mostly poor.
Yeah.
But if you address one part of it, just the poor, I mean, you can help them as well as others.
Well, and that's the problem right now. We'll only pay attention to you and your needs if you're a minority and poor.
Yeah.
If you're a white person and poor, you're shit out of luck.
No, because there's way more poor. There's way more Mexicans.
Yeah, but the thing is, I hate to just lens it through race, but even though the numbers kind of show that minorities tend to bear more of the burden of the lower part of the economy, per capita, blah 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 blah, right? But I mean, there's a lot of poor white people too that don't have access to healthcare and are getting sick.
So it is a poor thing, but we're stuck on black people. And like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. And I don't think Terry Crews he got rammed because he was like, it is about Black Lives Matter, but we're turning it into Black Lives are better. Like they're more, they're more important.
That's like what I said, we'll only pay attention to your needs and make a movement for you if you're a minority and poor.
Yeah. And that sucks, dude. And I think we'll never, ever move forward because we're stuck the way we are. And like of course Black Lives matter, but poor people matter.
And I think
it's a bigger group.
I think it'd be an easier movement, to make an easier argument to make if you're focusing on poverty.
Yeah.
Because by focusing on poverty, you're actually going to end up focusing on minorities. You're going to end up affecting them a lot because, they tend to make up a lot of the people at the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum. But you're also going to be supporting white people. And you're not going to be defining it by color. You're going to be defining it by need. Everybody needs to be happy, to feel safe, and to be fed, and to be, have a roof over their head.
And you can unite more people. Like if a middle class white person sees people talking about poor people, it's not about black, white, green, orange. They're like, well, fuck, we got to help our people because they're people. And like because we've radicalized it in a way where it's like, black. And so even the middle class white people are like, fuck that, dude. What about poor white people? They're there too. And like then you're changing the argument. Kind of like rather than saying like, is chocolate good or bad? You're like, well, what about vanilla? you know, and you just change the subject, you know, why is chocolate good? Why is chocolate chocolate? You know, like, right, but you've moved past what we're originally talking about. So that I think like if we just stopped it at poor, we'd be set. But we're not the ones to figure shit out. That's why I was just like, let these people die. Just let them die. It's the only way to make this work. I mean, like, fuck. I mean, like, we were eating each other alive. You know, Terry Crews said that shit. He said, fucking Black Lives not, let's try not to make Black Lives better. Like, that was a stupid thing to say. And then Don Lemon comes at him and says, well, he was trying to angle it in a way where Terry Crews, a black man, is trying to be anti-black, but he's not.
No, that's not what he's saying.
But he's not. Terry Crews guy takes his shirt off and fucking, you know, works out and fucking gets all buff. That guy's really gonna articulate the fucking all that is all. You know, he doesn't know, but he's trying to say something that is true. He's trying to say Black Lives they matter, but they're not better than everybody else, and that's what we got because we're poor.
There was a really good video from a protester. I'm gonna have to look it up. But at the very end, she says, she's African American. She's saying, or what are they calling it now? Now they're calling it foreign American. Really? I heard that the other day, and that kind of. I'll go back to why that came up. Well, but she said something. She said, "You're lucky we're asking for justice and not revenge." You know, and I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of.
Yeah.
You know, that they're gonna want to, you know, instead of wanting to just get to here, they're gonna want to get to here, and that's not. I think that's not what most people are asking for.
In a way, I hear what you're saying, but like that's a common theme when you're trying to be fighting for equality. It becomes more than you overcompensate, so you overshoot. Like,
and I think that's what Terry Crews was trying to warn against.
Yeah, because women do that too when they're talking about like equality of income. You know, they're not trying to be underwater miners or garbage men or fucking. They're trying to be CEOs only. Right. You know, so they just want more power. You know what I mean? Like, what about Nobel Peace Prize or things like that? Like, why aren't like Wikipedia? Why don't we have more equality there? You can just make more Wikipedia. It's not like they're stopping you, you know. But that's like you're trying to be more. And here we are with, you know, black people. They're trying to do the same fucking. It's becoming a thing, you know. Like, yeah, my poorness is more, or my, you know, inequality is more important than the fate of the fucking country. Because I mean, COVID-19 is a thing, so that's what I'm more important. I can protest, so I can gather in thousands, you know, because I'm protesting. That's more important than the safety of America.
Well, because for some people, the threat of their civil liberties being taken is actually more likely than them dying of the virus.
No, it is. No, it isn't.
For some people, dude. For some people living in those areas where, you know, they're being accosted, and it's usually like if they're in a violent neighborhood. It's usually like, you know, minorities or low income, you know, affecting low income people.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. So it's like,
you know what I'm saying? But it's a function of you being poor and having to live in a poor area. That's dangerous
in comparison to an actual virus.
Well, you might be the victim of an act of violence just because of where you fucking live.
Violence. I mean, a virus.
A virus. Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah. So COVID-19 is really not that important because you might be a victim of police brutality over the numbers don't work that way.
Well, I mean, I like to see a breakdown of the numbers, but I'm sure people
it's like less than 100. It's less than 100.
Well, because you got to remember too. A lot of people aren't looking at data; they're looking at what they feel and how safe they feel where they are.
I hear you.
Well, they're not worried about some fucking virus. They're worried about the cops, or they're worried about, you know, somebody breaking into their house, or they're worried about, you know, paying the bills.
You make a strong,
and that's why we're actually willing to not just really if we wanted to do the best thing, send everybody home and keep them home, right?
That's what we were trying to do.
But we have to trade it off because why? The economy would fucking nosedive.
Yeah. No,
you know, so we're willing to trade some lives for the economy. We've been doing it since the beginning.
Yeah.
That's why McDonald's and fucking KFC still open.
You know, I heard this one guy who was in that he made the show Dirty Jobs, and he's very articulate. He was talking about in World War II in England, they had bombs, right? They were bombing that fucking place, and people were in their shelters for a little bit. But then after about a month or so, while the bombs were still going, they were opening up schools and shops. And they just opened up the country, even with bombs, blowing them up. A real fucking threat. And it's just the human psyche is this. We don't care. Like we'll care for a little bit, but then after a while we get bored or maybe desensitized to the danger.
Yeah.
And that's why I say like just let the shit happen. Like they should have from the beginning. Just let the fucking virus morph and kill even more people than ever. Because that's what
the thing is, this country has always had really good foresight. It's rare when there's a failure of imagination. 9/11, a failure of imagination. I think that was shit. I think that was where it was coined, right? Usually we've got people that can think way out ahead. The problem here is that they had a planned out response that they inherited from the last administration, and they didn't use it.
Yeah.
And it was a political thing because they were worried about optics and they were worried about the economy.
Not just that. No, I mean, you could only plan for so many fucking things, disasters.
Yes, but to check
out Florida
plan and say, fuck it, we're gonna do our own thing because we're so fucking smart.
The plan was squashed a year and a half ago.
Right, because that whole committee was dismantled.
So like that kind of makes sense. I mean, like if it was a disaster of an asteroid hitting Florida, we wouldn't be talking about COVID. We'd be talking about that. And why did we have the Space Force in play? All this other shit that was drawn up. Or say there was a mass incursion from Russia to Mexico to America. Why didn't we build that fucking wall? There's thousands of disasters on the horizon.
But we can do multiple things. We can do multiple things.
No, we can't.
COVID-19 isn't the first time we've had something out there like this.
No. You're saying my point. I hear you on this one thing, the virus, but what I'm telling you is there's multiple things that are out there, and we don't do multiple things. We kind of funnel our money in one way or the other, fucking obviously, and then we still don't get the thing done right. Like all the things and inabilities of getting things done, we don't do. And it's just a shuffle of the board on what we catch. Oh, we built the wall, we stopped an invasion, or we took out this terrorist, or we stopped world hunger in this one spot, they won't retaliate. We stopped Yeah, like we don't know. We just don't know. It just so happens to be this fucking virus that is the one that got us, and then we weren't uniform on the way shit went down. Yeah. I mean, like, it's probably China. Probably China weaponized the fucking virus, and it's killing a bunch of people. We can't go to war with them. We can't. And they know it. We know it. Well, we can't tell the American people, hey, look, you know what? Us fighting China, man, we just can't fucking do it. It wouldn't work. We all work together. That's why we never fight.
What would the point of that be? It wouldn't get us anywhere.
Yeah, no, I think it was an accident. I think they were making the virus. Yeah. And they fucked up and it got out.
Well, I mean, it could also be a consequence of the live meat markets. A lot of different animals together, having to feed a lot more people than before.
I heard the geneticist named Eric Weinstein. He said that two things. He said a virus moving from animal to a person, that's pretty fucking rare on itself. And then he said the way it's spreading, that's super fucking rare on itself. Now you got these two data points and you put them together, it's astronomically rare. Like, what the fuck is that? And he goes, the only way that could have happened is possibly, and we've made viruses before, is someone altering a virus. Could have just got it.
I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out. But at the same time, the probability of me and you having this conversation, in this universe is also astronomically impossible, right? Yet it's happening.
No, it's not. It's actually happening multiple times. If you
now we're talking multiverse shit. But I'm just saying,
the universe itself. There's that.
Is it possible?
Yeah. Hey man, in the '60s they got this math. They how big the universe is, how many planets there are, and how many times a fucking thing could happen. And there's like that. I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say the same fucking thing. He said that this conversation is happening millions of times, not in multiverse, just in our universe. That's how big our universe is. People don't understand the whole gravity of how big our universe is because it's expanding. Like the sheer size of it is astronomical.
I understand the size of the universe.
Like even if you came towards the point of where the universe is growing, it's growing so fast that it's creating
get to it. Yeah, it's getting away from you.
Another diverse amount of space. And then with that are more planets and more planets and more people and more things. I mean, despite odds, if this isn't a simulation.
Well, no, there's a finite amount of stuff.
No.
Yeah.
It's infinite. No, for all intents and purposes, it's pretty much infinite. And there's more, and like, here's another thing he said. There's more infinities that are bigger than others. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And they used math to discuss this. He goes, you get your numbers, 1, 2, 3, infinity, right? And then he goes, but that number isn't as big as, say, irregular numbers, infinity.
Right.
And then 0.1, infinity. You know, and I was like, whoa, and just be understanding that concept. That's how big our fucking universe
is. Yeah, but you're talking about the size of the universe, not the amount of stuff that's in it. The amount of stuff that's in it, they're actually able to calculate. That's how they were able to discover that there's dark matter out there, because they said
the rest of this stuff and everything. We're kind of getting lost in the weeds.
Yeah, my bad.
They literally came up with this in the 60s, and it's still being echoed from this point on, that there are that many worlds, that many galaxies, and like we're having this conversation a million different. That's just in this universe. We're not even talking about multi-universe.
I don't know about that, but I wouldn't rule out China fucking up and unleashing this fucking virus on everybody.
I'm just saying like that's more probable, seeing that in Wuhan there is a genetic facility that makes viruses in Wuhan. I mean what the fuck, dude? You have a virus. Two fucking rare things. They made viruses there. I mean, they have SARS there. It's a cousin of SARS. They were fucking, doing their thing, and they're like, oops,
like there's shit on my sandwich, and you look at the chef, and he's got shit on his hands, and he's like, it wasn't me.
Exactly. But like I said, we probably already know. We can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Just like Russia and Putin, like what he does, North Korea, and what they do. We can never go to war with any of these fucking countries because we all need them. We all need. I think the only reason why we don't go to war with North Korea is because we need China. We can't fight China. China can't fight us. We just
too big to fail.
Yeah, exactly.
And what would you do after you defeated them? You fucked them up, and now they can't trade with you anymore because now they don't do shit. And what?
The implication of it, right? You took out all of China, and then you got Chinese people here. What the fuck are they going to do? You don't know. If they have terrorist cells.
Or we're going to take over China? Is China going to become the 51st state?
They would totally be okay with that. Well, how would you rule? Like, how would you establish rule of law? It's impossible. It just is. And like, if we took over something like Nuka in South Africa, or some fucking place where they don't know what the fuck they're doing, yeah. But you can't take over a country. They have the internet too. It's not like they're fucking from the past, Like
I think we learned from Iraq that in Afghanistan.
Yeah, we busted them up, and then it just was a fucking mess.
Yeah.
We're like, oh shit, there's different Muslims. This one's about genital mutilation. This one throws gays off the fucking roof. And, that's the greatest trick. I don't know, whatever that solved America is how we turned it into we hate Christians and Muslims are the best. Like in a reality where Christianity has already gone through an awakening period where they don't have slaves, and Muslims in real time right now, you can Google it, you can go on YouTube, slave auctions, that's a thing. And then like we're like, oh, you're Islamophobic, and you're just like, what? But that's happening.
Doing it.
Yeah, that's fucking happening. But like that, it's a weird thing. I don't know. I think we're in a simulation sometimes. I don't know, because there's like things I see and I'm like, why is this okay and this isn't? Why? Okay, here's one for you. This the segue. So Shia LaBeouf is playing, and I'm probably going to see this movie. He's playing in a movie where the tax collector, where he's a Mexican.
He's a Mexican?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Now, I don't. Hey, actors can be actors, right? Then, immediately, Halle Berry, she gets out of a movie because she was playing a transgender woman. She can't do that because she's an actual woman, so she can't play a transgender woman. Only a man who's transitioning can be playing a transgender woman. So she backed out of that movie. So here we are in the year 2020, where we have a white actor playing a Mexican, and you know he's gonna get shit for this. And how he can't even play a transgender woman. And this is not the first time. Scarlett Johansson was gonna be a transgender woman in another movie, and people were like, fuck, that's bullshit, you can't do this. Fuck, there was a movie where a guy was playing a quadriplegic, Bryan Cranston, and they were like, well, he's not a quadriplegic, so he's taking away from a quadriplegic who could play.
Yeah, Bill Burr did a good bit on that.
Oh, I believe it. But I'm just saying, like, look at the hypocrisy of our fucking world, you know, like, we can't play actors, like, actors can't play roles, you know, like, I mean, here's another dumb thing. So if you make the move, fast forward the thought, Halle Berry brings people to the theater to see transgender plights, right? Oh man, now I feel for transgender people. Now they don't have that movie. That movie will not get made.
Right.
I'm not seeing that movie. Your message will not be said. Scarlett Johansson wants to fight for transgender rights. You didn't want her to be the fucking person. Nope. We don't know anything about that. You did not bring attention to trans. You know what you did? You fucking canceled. That's what you did. And then here you got Shia LaBeouf. He's gonna get canceled for this shit. Oh yeah. You can't have the white guy play a Mexican. That's
Shia LaBeouf's been canceled a bunch of times though. I think he might get some shit, but he'll be all right.
Well, he'll be all right, but the movie won't. It's more, the movie's more about everybody, not him. He's just in the movie, you know?
Yeah, the problem now, usually, you know, back in the day, you say any press is good press.
This isn't, yeah.
But now, you know, bad press or bad social media press can ruin you.
Yeah, like, I don't think this movie, The Tax Collector is made by, like, one of my favorite directors, made Training Day and End of the Watch and all those kind of, like, you know, social political kind of things from the ground level, you know, something we all could relate to kind of thing. And then he's making this about a Mexican gangster called The Tax Collector, and he collects money from gangs and shit. I thought that'd be pretty tight. But here you got this white guy being a Mexican. That shit's gonna call Training Day, man. Wouldn't exist now.
I've got my thoughts about Shia LaBeouf, but
yeah, he's the greatest actor ever. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
He's good. Fucking good.
He's good.
He's out of his mind.
My problem with Shia LaBeouf, when I watch him act, it's like I can see him wanting to act, and it feels very self-aware. You get what I'm saying? It's like when people when people are like a candid picture of somebody, you know, they're looking off in the distance. You know, you get a good candid picture, but then they're doing this. It's like they know they're being photographed. They're not in the moment. They're not being present. They're posing for a camera.
Fucking guy cries for real. That's good acting. I mean,
Leonardo DiCaprio. That's somebody who I would put up there.
All right, here's one. Anthony Hopkins. Is he a good actor?
Yeah.
Name the actor in which he doesn't play a smart, intelligent white man.
That's the problem.
So is he really a good? So Shia LaBeouf does the same fucking thing.
Well, here's the thing. But with Anthony Hopkins, yeah, Shia LaBeouf is kind of playing Shia LaBeouf in most of his roles.
And so,
with Anthony Hopkins, you get Anthony Hopkins because you want that feeling that he projects.
He plays the same character though.
But you can't tell me that he played Hannibal Lecter the same way that he played Odin.
Well, I mean, like, different lines, the same guy. He's an intelligent, wise dude.
Well, that's way too vague though, Kev. Come on, you got to give me that one.
Well, what would make it different?
No, in Hannibal Lecter, he's a totally different person with a different set of motivations than in Thor, where he's playing Odin and he's trying to, you know, manage all these different things that are going on, including his two sons.
He's an intelligent white man. I mean, that's what he is. That is what he is in Hannibal, and that is what he is in Odin. I mean,
But that's why you get Anthony Hopkins, because it's somebody that right as soon as you put him on the screen, you know that this is somebody formidable.
this is someone who's intelligent, white, and man. Yeah, I mean that's all he plays. It's the same fucking guy.
So what would you want him to play?
No, what I'm saying is he literally. Well, okay, I think he's a great actor, just like Shia LaBeouf. He is playing that character. It's not like it's
I would have to see it,
if you do
know, but
validity to Shia LaBeouf, then you do not give the validity to Anthony Hopkins, which, in my opinion, is a great actor. But they're the same guy. They just play the same.
okay.
Same thing with Al Pacino.
Gary Oldman.
What?
Gary Oldman.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He plays different characters. That's there too. Those are two.
When I'm watching Gary Oldman though,
He melds.
he's in the character.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
he is the character. When I watch Shia LaBeouf, it's like it's try hard. I think that's the thing I was looking for right there.
But he's the same guy.
He's always been a bit of a try hard.
Well, that's what they're going for, I guess. Because if you keep getting the same guy and he plays the same fucking role, and Anthony Hopkins the same guy and he's playing the same fucking role, and they're both like the same guy, you know, like it's good.
I guess if you like seeing Shia LaBeouf, then you like seeing Shia LaBeouf.
That's true. That's true.
I'm whatever.
Fury, that's pretty fucking good.
Which one?
Fury, that was a good movie. I'm surprised you haven't watched that.
Oh, I haven't watched Fury. I gotta watch that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good movie. Yeah. Wait, was that Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Man, see, the Shia LaBeouf's so good, he overshadowed Brad Pitt.
I'm gonna have to watch it now.
I know.
I watched Sonic the Hedgehog.
I loved it.
It was fun watching Jim Carrey be Ace Ventura again.
Yes, dude.
You know?
Yes. He was like, I'll return to form.
It was my favorite scene of the whole fucking movie where he's setting up the quill or whatever it is, you know, to modify it so he can get the power from it.
Yeah.
And he's playing that I think it's like Evil Walks or Evil Rises or something like that. And he's like dancing and getting down and then running away from the. I thought it was so cool. It took me back to when I was a kid watching him.
Perfect, dude. No, he was funny, dude. The whole thing was good. And then like he was a cool character too, because at the very end, he's like just in a fucking planet, you know, just by himself. And he's like, fuck it, this is happening. So he just fucking moves forward. I was like, you know, now that's a good villain because he's a bad guy.
And I wasn't watching a Filmento did a breakdown of it, and it was pretty intelligent. He talks about the three main characters and what their needs are. You know, Sonic he's alone, and he wants to be out in the world, and he wants to share himself with everybody. The sheriff, he's not alone, but he does want to expand, you know, and feel like he's doing more. And Robotnik, he's alone and he loves to be alone. You know, he prefers to be alone. He doesn't want people around him because people are stupid.
Mm-hmm,
you know? He relies on his robots. He doesn't need anybody else around. At the end of the movie, he actually gets what he wants.
Where he has no one around.
There's nobody around. He's still the smartest guy on the planet. The thing that Filmento kind of added in there was that Robotnik is threatened because he feels like he understands the world, right? And when he sees the footprint and he says, you know, I've already analyzed the curvature of the spine and the height and all that shit, and this is something not from this planet. His place at the top of the world is threatened. And that's why he views Sonic as that big of a threat and is willing to go to any lengths, even, you know, destruction of public property and shit, because he's blasting away through the fucking city. At that point, he doesn't give a shit if the hammer falls on him, because he needs to understand this thing or defeat it or get it out of the way because it threatens his position on the totem pole.
That is fucking great, dude. That made that movie even better. Now that's better than Duel of Fates.
Because it was meant to happen in this one movie.
It felt right. That feels right. That sounds right. And if you break it down, that's what's happening. That's not.
And Sonic defeated him, you know, with his friends, you know, through the friendships that he had developed. And since Robotnik didn't develop any friendships, he lost. He tried to do it on his own, and he lost. And so that puts these two opposing viewpoints in the movie. You know, being alone and the smartest guy on the planet versus having and developing friendships.
It would be
Which one is the right way to go?
It would be tight, man, dude. Because the way I really like his character. So he's on the planet. He's fucking. I'm gonna fucking make it anyways. It would be cool if the second movie was just about him, like, and how he learns that the only way he can do it is he needs help. You know, and then that would be a great arc.
That would be an arc. Yeah. I probably wouldn't do something like that until like the third movie or something.
You right, but the movie is right. Jim Carrey makes that movie, right? Sonic is cool. Everyone was pretty cool, but
Sonic was cool, man. I like Sonic. I felt cheated. I feel like I wish the Pikachu movie hadn't come out. That way they could have used Ryan Reynolds.
Mm.
I think Ryan Reynolds would have been a cool voice for Sonic. The sheriff's character was cool too.
Yeah, he's a good actor. That guy.
He had a lot of good. He played against Jim Carrey good.
Yeah.
Well, the banter they had when Jim Carrey's like, I was coming up with formulas back when you were spitting up formula. And he's all, well, actually I was breastfed. He's all rub that in my orphan face. I was just like, God damn, man. Watching them back and forth was good.
What would you give the movie rating wise?
I watched it 2.5 times. As soon as I finished watching it, each time I went back and I watched the Jim Carrey scene again. So I think it's rewatchable.
So what's the rewatchable out of a scale of 1 to 20? You would say. Give me a second. Let's do this.
Well, what'll let me borrow it, and I still plan on going out and buying it. On a scale of 1 to 20, that's kind of big, dude. I thought we were going 10-point scale.
What? No, for replay we are.
Oh, that's right.
I already did this, so I'm just waiting for you to give me a replay value. Because
so I would say 8, and then you could double it to 16.
Yeah.
Because I watched it on my own, and I want to show it to like my nieces or my nephews, and I'd be down to watch it again with them.
Yeah, that movie is good for kids and good for adults too.
Yeah.
And I would give that movie. 16's pretty solid, dude. Give me a second here. Let me do this here. Okay. 16.
Because I mean, the reason I wouldn't go full 10 is because now you can watch Phil Mento's breakdown of it, and you really don't have to watch it again, to understand it, because the movie's simple. That's something else that was really good about it. It wasn't
complicated.
Yeah, no, it was simple. They didn't explain, Sonic's speed ability. He didn't have midichlorians or anything like that. His fast movement scenes, spoiler alert, blah, blah, blah. Their riffs on, what they did in X-Men. But I didn't have a problem with that.
So you thought the story was pretty good? What would you give the story number-wise?
I'd probably give that an 8 too. I mean, it wasn't full of, big-time nuances, but it was enough to where you could kind of go into it and dig through it. And it was simple. It was...
No, we'll give it 8, yeah. All right.
You didn't have to have played the game to understand things, though there were still Easter eggs in there for people. If like chili dogs, the rings being, portals to other dimensions and other places or other worlds or whatever.
What'd you think of the visuals of the movie?
They were awesome. 9.
9, really? Really?
Some of the scenes were kind of weird, like when he's holding Sonic underneath the thing. It didn't look like he was holding a body, but the rest of the time, Sonic was in there. And some of the befores and afters, the before Sonic, he had a lot more of the textures and stuff to make him look real. The new Sonic looked less real, so you could kind of tell he was superimposed because he looked like a cartoon. But then you can kind of get away with it because he's from another dimension.
Yeah.
So
he let it real, but he didn't. You're right. He did look cartoony, but his hair did look.
Yes.
real. So I see what you're saying.
It was a compromise because they were like, okay, first Sonic was way too real looking, so we need to kind of be able to put them side by side with the 16-bit Sonic, and they need to look the same, just this newer one in higher definition.
What do you think of the music of the score?
I liked it a lot. The Wiz Khalifa song, the different music they put in, the song that they got for Jim Carrey scene.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't think I've ever heard this song, but it's an old song, So somebody had to dig deep to find this song, and find something that Jim Carrey could play with and have fun with in that scene. Yeah, I liked it. I like the music. The score, however, there's nothing memorable to me about the score. It was mostly the licensed music that I was digging throughout the movie.
I found memorable.
The only part of the score for me that was memorable was when they're playing the Green Hill music at the end of the fucking movie. It's a piano version. They're painting the house.
Yeah.
They're playing the Sonic. It's not Sonic's theme, but since it's the theme from the first level, it's the song that everybody knows, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was a piano version though. They never went full, video game music on it, which was fine. But still, it came in at the very, very end. I would have liked to have heard some kind of version of it earlier in the movie, but when I heard it at the end, I was like, oh yeah, Green Hill Zone music. I also like that they named the place Green Hills.
So what would you give the number?
For score? You're muted. You talking about for score or for?
Yes. What?
For the music?
Yeah.
7.
7. All right.
Maybe like a 6.5.
All right, we'll go 6.5. Okay.
Because the licensed music was good, but the rest of the music, I don't have like a Sonic the Hedgehog theme in my head.
Well, okay. Hey, all right. So for games, I have gameplay. What would be the equivalent to this? To a movie? Because you're watching a movie for what? It's story, music, visuals.
Gameplay is like how it engages the player, right?
Yeah, gameplay is the mechanic.
Because you have to go through the controller to experience the game and through the monitor and through the rules of the game.
Uh-huh.
So is it engaging? Like is it the combat system and blah blah blah. I think like movie would be emotional impact, like lasting impact.
But what
was I engaged in the movie? Was I engaged with the characters? Did I give a shit about the characters? Did I have a sense of stakes and peril?
We can say engagement. How are you engaged with the movie? Like, are you there, or are you thinking of other things?
I was smiling the whole fucking time.
Yeah, so you were very engaged.
Yeah, I was smiling the whole time, but I mean, that might be subjective because
that doesn't matter. It's about what you think. So you were engaged all the time.
Engagement, like entertainment value.
Yeah.
9.
9. Shit. Okay, there you go. All right, cool.
Again, for me specifically, but there's a whole past and story that's involved.
Yeah.
But
I just rated this game. All right. Let's see here. Let me give you the overall score of this game for you. It's 6.5. It's 8, 9. It's 16 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 9.7. That's what you rated this game.
That sounds too high. Because the 8 you have to count it twice. You don't average in the 16.
You did it. I already did. Yeah, it's in there.
But I never gave anything a 10.
You didn't.
So why would it be 9.7?
So I averaged it, right? So I added the numbers all together, then divided by how many numbers I did.
You gotta add one more number.
No, I don't. Why?
We're double weighting it, but that doesn't mean that it
It should be 6, not 5. My bad.
Right.
Yeah,
That's,
right. You're right. No, you're right. Good thing you said that because it is an extra variable. No, wait. Why can't
yeah,
it?
it's like we're counting it twice because we're saying that thing's twice as important as everything else. So that's why
Oh,
that
that works. 9 plus 6. You're getting your calculator. Motherfucker, you don't know how to do goddamn math. 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 8. So 6. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. 6. 6.9.
so it's like you used 5 different things, right?
Yeah.
So
6 because one number's done twice.
oh, this doesn't show up good. Let me see.
So
So on here, so like if this is like the full HP bar, right, or the full
yeah,
impact bar, this is like rewatchability right here. It's
yeah,
its weight is bigger than the other ones, but you still got to count it 2 times.
yeah. So it's 6. You're adding the number together, and then you divide 6. Oh yeah, it's 8
What?
8.1 because it's
That,
8.08.
yeah, that's really good.
That's solid because
Yeah,
I would say that would be an 8.1. I would say 8.1 because I round up. I gave it lesser numbers. Let's see what I gave it. Yeah, it's a good thing you said that because that's so much more accurate.
but now, okay. So just for to look at our numbers and what would happen. Let's say we gave it, a 2
It would bring it way down.
possibility. It would bring it way the fuck down.
Well,
Run that calculation real quick. Take mine and say, I would never fucking watch this movie again.
Okay.
It had great music, great effects and this stuff, and I had fun, but I never fucking watch this movie again.
5 plus 8 plus 9 plus. And were you saying 2?
2 plus 2, so
Plus
4.
You said 4 then? I was gonna go okay, 2 then plus 2 equals and then divide by 6. 6.
Yeah, that pulls it way down.
That makes sense though.
Yeah.
So it's average, and you might see it again, maybe.
I maybe forget about it and never want to go back to it again.
Right there at 50-50. That's fucking good. I mean, this system works, dude.
So something that would be like that would be like Aquaman.
We would have to go.
Great visual effects. The score was pretty good. I was having fun watching things happen, but would I ever watch that fucking movie again? No, it's not deep enough.
And like that works so well too because I gave it a 7. Like the math breaks down to 7 for me because I liked it, but I wouldn't watch it as much as you, and that's really what brings it down for me.
Well, and I think where I gave it the 9 might be pulling it up, but that's because
though. No, think about it. The engagement's is a big thing for a fucking movie. That's pretty good.
Rewatchability, being able to go back and taste it again.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, I gave it the same rewatchability because a 16 works out pretty good. So, but I scored everything else pretty low. Not low, but like around 7.
Not as high. Yeah.
1 to 10, I would have gave it a 7. But then when you do the math, I gave it a 7. And then like you, I was vibing. It was better than average, and it was almost there, but not perfect. 8 makes sense. 8 or 9 would have made sense. But that was pretty good. I played Last of Us and I beat it. I know you haven't played it and you're not going to play it, but I'll give you my rating because I want to get it out there. So,
right.
So I'm not going to spoil anything. I really am not. But that game was very woke. So you're killing a lot. So in the first game, you're like this guy and this girl, and you go all throughout this fucking country, and that's the story. I'm not going to go deeper than that. I just
what do they call it? A wolf and pup story or something like that?
This guy, he has to take this chick to point A to B, and he hates her, ends up liking her, ends up killing a bunch of people. Part 2 is the revenge of these fucking people, and you play the game as the girl from then on. But then you're killing. It's funny too through trying to be diverse. So you got henchmen, right? Usually they're just guys, right? But because they're being diverse, you're really just killing a bunch of black people, and then you're killing a bunch of women because that's diverse. So you got a guy, usually a guy walks into a group of bad guys and you got to take them out, right? They're usually dudes. So white dudes. So they're like, let's be diverse. So same character has to fight a group of people, and guess what? Most of them are either black, Mexican, and women. Because it's diverse, because you're not killing the same amount of, you're not killing just white people, you're killing, like, what about, Black Lives Matter? So there's a lot of black people in this game, and you're killing them.
My issue would be, did they look at where the game is taking place and kind of flesh out, okay, we're in DC. Okay. A lot of minority people, a reason to have maybe like a 50-50 split, between these two minority, or
it was in Seattle. Is Seattle mostly populated with women, ethnic women?
See, then you'd have to have a reason for there to be, that they're
in the future, and say instead of COVID-19, spores, and there's, instead of zombies, they're just mushroom people, right?
I get it, but like, is it is it a, what is it? Oh shit! Is it not affirmative? Is it an affirmative action? Or it's like, hey, you know what? There's too many white people. We're gonna kill them so that there's the same number of each type of person on the planet.
So, like, I don't even think that's a sticking point in when they made it. They just said, all right, we have 5 people. 4 of them have to be women, and they have to be ethnic. Because there's like nonstop groups of women coming in, and they're like, all right, go here, and it's cool. That's part of the gameplay that was pretty cool. They would have like they're really just henchmen. It's just a group of people that are there in any kind of video game. Like, instead of white ninjas, you're fighting black ninjas.
Red Dead Redemption, if you were way up in the north near the town, it was mostly a bunch of white dudes running around, and the women, kind of how you would have seen it back then.
Yeah.
As you went further south and you got closer to the Mexican border, you would hear a little bit more Spanish going on. You would start to hear and see Mexicans the closer you got to the border. When you crossed the border, it was all Mexicans. So they were true to the geographic, kind of spread of the different populations there.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm just trying to explain to you from.
I'm wondering if they did that. It doesn't sound like they did that type of thinking in it. It sounds like they just did it just to do it.
So your main character is a lesbian. The other character that you play, another character who's primary, and she's not transgender, okay, but she is a chick who looks like a dude. And then there's this one chick that's in the game. This is prominently, like, these are your 3 main characters, and then the one prominent character is actually a chick who wants to be a dude, transgender. And it's weird too, because you got the apocalypse, right? And everyone's fighting for survival, right? I am a transgender person fighting for survival. That's what that is. Like, that is the crux of the story too. Like, I was supposed to marry this dude, and I didn't want to, but I'm really feeling like I'm not a chick, I'm a dude. And that's it, And I was just like, you are pushing wokeness. And it's funny, through diversity, you're just killing more women in this game.
It almost sounds like they shoehorned it in there.
That's a lot of people griping about it, which that's neither here nor there. So I'll go in order. So I gave gameplay an 8, out of 10. And because the gameplay was pretty simple and good. It's, you run around and you fucking make a sound, and the bad guys go to the sound and you fucking kill them. That's it. It's plain and simple.
I like that kind of game. So I probably would have rated that really low.
Yeah. So you just get a bunch of shit. If you're into that, you just get a bunch of shit, and that's it. That's all it is. The game. Pretty simplistic. Music, it was okay. It was memorable. Not really. I give it a 6 because here's average. It was a little bit better than average, but it wasn't something I'm writing home to. Okay. Story, this is where it should shine. But the story was it was a revenge story, and they really shoehorn a lot of lesbian stuff going on. Like, lesbians, it's kind of hard to personify the lesbian chick, and like when they start to fuck, that's a thing they do. I was just like, huh. And when they had these little mannerisms, like, hey, yeah, let's do this, and they're acting like that, I was like, I'm not there. But hey, it was good. And then it took me out of it. And then when you had the buff chick, she does this thing where she manhandles this dude, and this somehow turns him on, and they start fucking. And I was like, I guess that's something that us men are down for, because this guy seemed pretty pro alpha, and then he gets dominated by this chick, and then they go to fuck, and I was like, I guess that works.
I
Not my tea.
I do like when girls dominate sometimes.
She's made to look like a man, though.
Yeah, that wouldn't.
Yeah, she's a dude. Like, she's not.
That wouldn't do it for me.
She's not like a pretty dude. She is fucking like a fucking guy. But,
yeah, that probably.
Yeah. And then I gave that a 7. You know, I was like, whatever. And then like the visuals were pretty good. That was the best part of the game, I think. It looked really good. I give it a 9. So, and then the replay value, I gave it a 10, which is, half.
Oh, 5 and 5. Got it.
So it's like 50%. And because I really don't want to play it again. I really don't. But there might be a chance one day. Unlike the other games. So I gave The Last of Us 2, I did the math, 8. I gave it 8. What?
Yeah. That's a decent score.
Because it was good, and I enjoyed it. I was engaged, but that's not really gameplay engaged. It fucking works too, because I was engaged when I was playing. I really liked playing it, but at the very end of the day, I'm like, I won't play it again. But it is good.
Because it's not. I mean, is there an online component? Like, can you play with friends?
Even if there was, even if there was, there's nothing compelling me to play that game. Like the first one, though, I probably would, because the story is about a dad who loses his girl, and then 20 years later, in this world of hell, The Last of Us, like he's got to take this little girl who's about his daughter's age, and he doesn't want to do it because it's his daughter, he lost his daughter, so he's not down for this kind of fucking emotional baggage. And then he comes around, ends up loving her, and then ends up fighting for her, and that's pretty good.
That's actually why I stopped playing the game.
Yeah,
because I was not up for that emotional baggage. I was just like, you know what, I don't need this right now.
Oh yeah, dude.
I was just like, it was too fucking heavy for me.
Like The Road. I don't watch those movies where the dad dies and
Road to Perdition?
What?
Road to Perdition?
That's a good movie. But I don't watch it again though. I can't watch it again. Yeah. No, The Road. You never seen that. It's what is his name? Viggo Mortensen. He's like this dad who's got this kid, and they're going to some point A to point B, and the world has already ended. There's a lot of like child rape and shit like that, and in the end, the dad dies and his kid moves on, and I'm like, and he's like a little kid, he's like 8 or whatever, 10, and I can't watch that. I can't watch movies where your little boy is surviving on his own in child rape land,
Fuck.
Yeah, fuck that movie. And Road to Perdition's pretty sad too, and I can't watch that either. The dad dies, and you fucking got to figure it all out.
Yeah, you think that they're in the clear, and he's enjoying seeing his son out there, and then
boom,
and blah, blah.
Yeah,
and then his son is put in a position where he has to kill the guy.
Yeah, you know what's cool about that though is when they used to make movies. You know what I mean? Like, not a sequel or remake of some sort. It's just a movie, and I'm like, I really wish movies would come back to that.
Yeah, because being able to put that, being able to engage you in 2 hours and make you care about these characters and then feel bad about them at the end and leave you affected, and thinking afterwards, that's super hard to do.
Yeah. Dude, this engagement's a game changer, dude. When you talk about a movie, and it kind of works too. Like, it's a real good definitive thing, Like, I really do feel like the way you broke down that Jim Carrey movie. See, I even calling it a Jim Carrey movie, but the Sonic movie, I mean, I was engaged that whole time, so I would score it pretty high, and I would watch it again.
The Aquaman. When I was watching Aquaman, I was like, I could turn this movie off right now, and I wouldn't be like, I need to get back to it. At any point in that whole fucking movie, I was like, if something happened and the lights went out, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm in the hood.
But you would watch it again.
Aquaman?
You're telling me there's nothing there?
Aquaman?
Something. Really? I don't
No,
know.
I don't feel like watching that fucking movie again.
I get angry when I think about it. That's about it.
Yeah, I was frustrated with it. The very first scene where he's on the sub and he comes around like doing his fucking Jason Momoa face, and I was like, God damn, that's what I mean when I'm talking about self-aware. You
I
know he's trying to look good for the camera.
I couldn't get past the fact that this is the same universe a Superman exists. And I'm like, so you're telling me what's Superman doing? Like anytime any of these movies happen, I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Dude, because like I mean, like you're telling me he couldn't
He was dead, dude. He's with Lois Lane.
he couldn't see this giant fucking city. I mean, like, unless the city just appeared, you know what I mean? And this is after Justice League, dude.
This is what was happening. Superman's with Lois Lane. They're on their honeymoon or whatever, enjoying the time. And he's like looking over through the earth or whatever, checking with his X-ray vision. He's like, it's okay. And if it ever would have got out of hand to where it looked like it wasn't gonna be okay, he probably would have flown out, solved it, flown back, and Lois wouldn't have even noticed it.
That's retarded, dude. Like the whole time he's seeing this huge fucking city of fucking Kraken. I mean, like that shit's fucking and like okay. So this is after Justice League, right? So I get like if it's self-contained, right? But they decide like he becomes Ocean Master. He gets the 4th largest army. He's gonna take out a fucking whole planet. Like you're talking about the guy who was at a dinner and he sees some Chilean miners about to die and he goes and saves them, right? But when the water takes out that town, where was Superman? Like he decided, I'm not doing.
Yeah, no. Marvel does or seems to do pretty good. I mean, I've never really thought about it too much, but I've never had to think about it too much.
Like with Doctor Strange, as powerful as he is, you think to yourself, why isn't he? But then there's probably other shit happening. Like they make it in
those conflicts are happening on different planes.
Yeah, like
that other people aren't really aware of.
Yeah, no, you could also say why isn't Thor doing anything? Well, he's probably fighting other fucking things.
Yeah,
as the Guardian,
his own shit.
Pat Marvel, she's doing her fucking thing. Like it just makes sense. Like so maybe Superman's doing his own thing, I guess.
They would have to come up with a movie and say this is taking place during Aquaman.
Constantly.
For every movie, they would have to ask, why don't we call Superman? Well, we met at the JLA Watchtower. He has to be on fucking.
That's a problem with Justice League too. Like, it still ends with fucking Superman saving the day. Like they couldn't. Even the whole movie is about bringing him back.
Yes.
And I was like, you just couldn't let it go,
That's yeah.
What they should have did was make him the primary villain.
That looks like something that might be part of that Snyder cut.
Maybe
there might be. There's supposed to be more time with him, kind of being possessed by Darkseid, because Darkseid can do that.
Yeah.
Possession, or I don't know however he does it, whatever it's called, blah 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 blah.
See, it would have been a better movie them trying to take down Superman, and then maybe they reach him, somehow, and that's how they defeat him, and that would have been great,
Yeah, the Batman could have yelled Martha at him this time.
Yeah, something.
This worked on me, Martha.
I saw what is it, Superman versus Batman, the director's cut. That's a pretty good movie. That's a really good movie.
The director's cut?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that one.
Oh, the short version, that's not good. And that's the one I walked away and I was like, this fucking sucked. But when you watch the director's cut, they have so many little things that layer in.
Give me a second.
Uh-oh.
You've been away for that long. Let's see. This is the Ultimate Edition.
So that is the Ultimate Edition is the director's cut. Well, I mean,
I'm wondering if the Blu-ray is the one that's going to be the extended one. Because I have this one.
Oh.
Because sometimes the extended cut on 4K disc. Okay. I'm going to watch this. I haven't watched it.
Watch it because
I've seen the movie, but I haven't watched that version.
It adds to why they're trying. It makes more sense how they're framing Superman for what he did. It shows more of like how Lex Luthor had this master plan, and it really layers it out, and it works better, because there's all these extra parts to it that flesh out the story. I mean, it's a lot longer, but it's a better version than, say, Justice League. And if there is a director's cut, I hope it's better. But the Superman versus Batman is actually a pretty good movie on its own. The director's cut.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things that came out of it, like when we were talking about score, and I was saying that I don't have any part of the score in my head. When Wonder Woman comes out,
yes,
and her score comes up, and it's something you never heard before, and it's instantly Wonder Woman, and you're remembering it afterwards.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
And how awesome the scene was, and you hear the music, and it takes you back to that scene too.
Well, no, some of Superman's song is in there too.
Yeah. The Man of Steel Superman track, Hans Zimmer.
There's no good Batman song though. That would have been cool.
They should just go back to Burton's Batman song. What's wrong with that? Or maybe different riffs on it,
That would have been fucking tight, dude.
They should just do that. They should stop fucking around with it and trying to come up with their own. He's already got one. He's already got one that everybody's familiar with.
Yeah.
Just do it. Why fuck with it?
Yeah.
You need Kevin Conroy to play fucking Batman in every fucking animated series for some consistency, just give us that with the music.
Dude, what do you think about Michael Keaton coming back for Flashpoint?
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, dude, I think they could.
That sounds like fun.
That'd be fucking great, right?
That sounds like so much fun.
Well, they're also
and Flashpoint. I've been saying it since the end of Justice League. I go, they need to do Flashpoint right now while they still have the actors that they have. You don't need Ben Affleck. You don't need Ben Affleck. You don't even need Henry Cavill. You really don't.
You just need someone who could play. Oh, dude, Jeffrey Morgan would be down. He could play. He could play him.
He has to be Thomas Wayne.
Dude, he could do it.
He has to be Thomas Wayne.
Oh,
that would be fun to watch.
They could fucking do it. You don't need Henry Cavill because he's skinny.
And you still have Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
Yeah.
You still have them, and they're having a fucking battle and a war. Oh god, if they do it, if they try to stick close to what the animated movie did, fuck, that should be a badass movie.
And then this is what you do. You lock in your 20-year-old Superman guy.
Yeah.
Lock him in for fucking 6-movie deal, and you're done. You're fucking done. Like think about it. They could do American Alien. They can make that and then restart they're already doing it with the cartoons. That's American Alien right there. They like aspects of it.
Really, I think Flashpoint should be the last movie with this cast.
Yeah, it should be.
And they should keep Ezra Miller as Flash, and he's cheap anyways. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't get a younger guy because he's already older.
But he would be consistent because then you'd be following him. Because he's kind of what stays the same after Flashpoint. He goes back and Batman. Oh god, yeah, they need to change the way he runs,
dude.
But that's probably not his call, Oh
my god.
Oh god, that looks fucking hideous.
When he's like,
just ask him to run differently. Oh god, it's not even that clean. You look better than he's like.
Why would you run like? Okay, so you run fast, so you don't run like you normally would. I mean, like that's just dumb.
Maybe that's part of his arc. Maybe he'll become faster once he learns how to run with more efficiency.
Yeah, that's fucking great. You remember that part where the fucking Superman's like looking at him and shit?
That was fucking awesome, dude. I love that fucking scene. He's the super side eye.
Yeah, okay. Let's we're coming up 2 hours, but I wanted to throw one more thing out before we go. So did you see? You probably didn't because I couldn't find it. I could find the Earth being flat, but I couldn't find this commercial. But I did find it. So Trump comes out with a commercial, right? It's basically fuck. I was gonna share it, but I'll just explain it. So it's a good commercial, by the way, but people shat on it. So this lady gets an Uber driver, and it's a black guy, of course, in the snow. And this she looks out the window and she sees this guy with the MAGA hat and he's like, go, 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 go. And then the car goes off and she sees that and she's like, fuck, this guy in the MAGA hat, she's fucking texting. She goes, Uber drive, and she recorded that part, right, of the guy going, go, 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 and them driving off. And then she writes, MAGA driver or MAGA, my racist neighbor, shoot off or ran after my Uber driver, my black Uber driver. And so it goes viral, right? This like that. And then it turns into like, that guy's racist, Trump's racist, Trump should die, like that, because it just grew from there, right? And then it flashes back to originally what happened. By the way, the quality of this is terrible. It looks like someone did it on their phone, like somebody just fucking recorded on their phone. The whole fucking video is on like a phone. So they flash back. Turns out, guy hears like the car's a screeching, right? So the guy gets his MAGA hat on, his jacket, and he comes outside and he sees a guy having trouble. And he's like, hey, you need help? All right, cool. And he pushes the car. Hey, when I tell you to go, you just floor it. And he pushes the guy out of the car. He pushes the car out, and then he's like, go, 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 go. So and then it goes fake news. And that's the commercial. So it's basically manage your expectations, that kind of bullshit, right? And what I love and hate about it is that is happening now.
Yeah.
But it's because Trump did it. Everyone's going to shit on it and create this mental process that shouldn't exist. People have already seen this commercial like, this guy's so stupid, him and his fake news, but they're not seeing the commercial for what it was. They're not saying, I understand what they're doing. Although, whatever on Trump, I see what they're doing. No, they're just knocking the commercial and forgetting the message altogether. Because this happens. This does happen where you see an aspect of something, and that's the narration.
People still need to take each other, maybe not at their word, but people should still listen to each other. Trump is still worth listening to.
Whoa.
He's still the president of the United States. He still speaks for a lot of people that are out there.
Don't want to hear this.
It's important to hear these viewpoints. You know what I'm saying? So that you can kind of take it in and then digest it, and then
the commercial's right, but what you said is just terrible.
It's because it's things that you have to hear. It's not going to go away just because you stop listening to it. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
It's
is it because he's such a fucking idiot?
But I agree.
Okay.
I agree, and he's a fucking liar. But he says something that that resonates with a third of this country.
Yeah.
And so it's important to watch Tucker Carlson. It's important to watch Sean Hannity. It's important to hear these guys and what they're saying. And then where it's true, you acknowledge it, because then when you're talking to people and that's all that they have informing them, you can say, you know what, he's true. He's right on this point. Trump is right about if you increase testing, the death rate actually comes down. Okay, but that's not an argument against testing. We should still be testing. You know what I'm saying? We should still be testing because that's intelligence. If you're a wartime president and we're in wartime, we don't fight wars blinded. We fight wars seeing as much as we fucking can.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know if I said this in the last video or who I said this to, but General Patton during World War I went on his belly through the fucking barbed wire lines into enemy territory to scout out, and get recon so that he knew where to send his tanks the next day. It's stupid to say that there shouldn't be testing, but if you hear the arguments, you can acknowledge. You can say, hey, he's right. He's right on this point. The death rate should actually be lower. Because there's a lot of people are saying that there's a lot more cases that we don't know about. So that means that the death rate is probably lower. But that's not an argument against testing. We should still be testing, and that viewpoint, looking at it that way, you're acknowledging what other people are absorbing for news, and you're saying, I'm taking your point, but I'm also adding this other thing to it that you might not have thought about, because it's worth talking about. Now, if that person just wants to just clam up and go nah, then you know what, they're not worth talking to, because they obviously don't want a conversation, and that's where this oppositional problem comes in. Where what you're saying, people are going to shit on it because it's pro-Trump. They're going to ignore what it's actually trying to say because they're not digesting it. They're not listening to it. They're not trying to see what it's trying to say. Give it its due, and say, okay, they're right. That might be happening, but it's also happening on the other side too.
Man, fuck, Eber, you really pulled that out, dude. I really I really thought you dug yourself a hole, but you really,
No,
you were never in the hole to begin with. I was in the hole watching you. No, I have to say, if he were to say, raping kids are bad, I kind of wonder if there'd be a polarizing effect for the opposite side. You know how there was a TED talk with this one lady trying to, yeah, LGBT and then Q, and she wanted to add like a P. So it was because like there's people out there with sexual proclivity for children, but that shouldn't be, they should be ignored. And I'm like, whoa, wait, you're just baby stepping child molestation, because you're attracted to said kid, that makes it all right. But,
should be recognized along with the other ones.
yeah. And I was like, ooh. Well, like I said, if he were to shit on child molesters, I wonder, in a world where someone can have a TED talk about pedophilia as a good thing, I mean, do you think?
Probably weren't saying that, but
No, but I'm just saying, like,
that's a slippery slope to a bunch of other things. I have a sexual proclivity. My dick gets hard when I choke out gay people. So
yeah,
where do I fall into?
yeah. Well, if it was consenting.
No, that I don't think. I don't know. I'd be interested in hearing what the community has to say about it. Would they want that letter put next to their letters?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
I don't think so.
That's why I say, like, if Trump were to herald against it, do you think? Because this commercial it made perfect sense. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Eye of the beholder. But people didn't get that. You know what they got? Whatever the opposite of Trump was. It's fucking bullshit. He's a liar. If he were to say that, if he were to say the P shouldn't be in LGBTQ, fuck, dude, I wonder if people would try to herald that.
Well, that commercial, I would be like, okay, I get what you're trying to say, the Trump commercial, but I would say then I would hold up any time where Trump was being dishonest or it looked like he was doing something, and ask him to explain it. Okay, we're missing the context. Give us the context then.
But that's not what's happening.
This crazy fucking thing you said, or this tweet that you put out, or whatever. And Kayleigh McEnany or whatever has done a really shitty job of trying to provide context. If anything, she minimizes the more important parts of a tweet or something.
He fucked up, dude. What he should have got was like the blackest chick on earth and then put her up there. And then so whenever you say something, she'd be like, you're fucking racist.
You know what? That's what I don't like about AOC right now and the squad.
Why?
Because Nancy Pelosi kind of fucked up. She kind of brushed them off in a kind of a glib way. She said, well, there's only somebody was saying, hey, AOC is saying this and this, and then Nancy Pelosi was like, oh, but it's only 5 of them. It's actually 4 or whatever. And then AOC came back with saying, well, Nancy Pelosi is constantly, acting with that kind of a dismissive attitude towards women of color. And so AOC has started to make this about race, about something that it really wasn't. It just so happened that
they're on the side.
Sorry?
They're on the same side too.
They're Democrats, and she's throwing bombs and giving the other side something to use, right? To say, look, they're doing it too. When they're not doing it, yeah. They're not doing it. And if they are doing it, it's not as systemic or as brash as what's happening on the other side.
Yeah. But they did that with Biden too. That's the whole left is all about eating it. You don't see the Republicans doing that. They don't try to eat each other. The left has been doing that nonsense, dude.
They've only really started kind of pushing against Trump right now, and I think it's because the election's coming up. So Mitch McConnell, he's up for re-election this November.
Yeah.
Who is it? Oh, god damn it. I can't remember his fucking name right now. Blue-eyed guy. His name sounds like a girl's name.
Christie?
No, he's a Republican. Shit. I'll remember his name later. I don't know, but there's somebody else that's been sucking his dick hard, the last 3 years, and now that he's up for re-election, he's starting to change his tune. The ones that are up for re-election are starting to push back and act a little bit more independent. But I think also because they see that Trump's probably gonna lose in November.
You really think?
he's not doing much to help himself.
He's not gonna lose. You know what? You see Kanye? He's gonna try to go for president.
Is he gonna try and split the Trump vote? Is that what he's trying to do?
That, okay, now like when I first heard those words, I was like, I bet Trump called Kanye to do this. So because Kanye would take away the black vote, period, if that's a thing, and that would be less votes for Biden, I guess. But I don't think Kanye West, who has mental handicaps, has the ability to understand a campaign, and not even a campaign, how the process of registering for president.
Well, I was gonna say I don't think he was even registered.
Yeah, I don't think he knows how. I don't think he even know how to begin.
Was I thinking of Ashley Graham?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I don't think he has registered for it.
No, of course not. I don't think he even knows. But just that alone, man. I mean,
Lindsey Graham.
Oh, Lindsey Graham.
Yeah. Lindsey Graham is up for re-election in November, so he's starting to kind of say put on the mask and this and that, blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's weird, right, dude? The way they're politicizing all these little events here and there. It's like you're seeing people to eat each other alive. Like, you're not for Black Lives Matter. Oh, I am, but you can't say that because you're gonna alienate all these other people too. And so it's like, fuck,
These statues coming down.
What do you think about that? We talked about that earlier.
It shouldn't be happening. We did talk about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
but it should be happening. It should be there should be a process for it happening.
Yeah.
And I think it should be at the federal level. Because people within communities, they don't see the problem with the Confederate flag because they grew up with that. They don't see the problem with having Confederate, soldier statues because they grew up with that. Them and their parents and their grandparents, those were their Santa Clauses. Those are the people that they looked up to. Those are the people that they idolized. They don't recognize that that's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
A massive chain reaction too, because like they're trying to change Redskins and then trying to get rid of Mount Rushmore.
There's a lot more going on with Mount Rushmore though.
Yeah, but regardless, I mean, like,
I don't want to see Mount Rushmore go. I don't want to see it go, and that pisses off a lot of Dakota. But I don't want to see it go, and I think something can be worked out.
There's gonna be traction on that because I saw a meme the other day where it was like all the things that all the presidents did, all the little bad things in the lens of time. Like they're talking about them fucking slaves and shit like that, It's kind of like, I mean, I don't know what to say, man. That's what they did back then.
But
it's weird because like you think that the person who's bitching about that thinks they're different from the people that they were then. Meaning, they think, oh yeah, if I was back in those days, I totally wouldn't have done. You totally would have done that.
I mean, what if later on, all of a sudden, everybody recognizes that animals have souls and we shouldn't be eating.
Yeah, I know.
We're totally fucking evil fucking people these days because we ate animals and they have souls.
The fucking cell phone itself has this cobalt mineral in there that's being mined by child slaves. And the only way, and like you can always break a woke person and be like, so you're not down for slavery? Why do you have a cell phone?
Yeah.
All because like an African guy goes, yeah, we're not slaving out kids. Hey, we're okay.
Because they don't want to see it. They're like
the Chinese people who are slaved out in that one building and they're fucking jumping off. They're having a better like life than other farmers. I'm like, why the fuck are they jumping out of the buildings? And they're fucking slaves, man. Like, as long as you have a cell phone, a computer, a laptop, anything that we have is all built by slavery. And yeah, we're totally gonna shit on these other guys, the Mount Rushmore people, because they had slaves, but we're no fucking better. We were just one more step removed. And
yeah, the Confederate statues,
a little bit better, right?
Yeah, the Confederate statues, that's an easy argument. That one's pretty simple. They lost. They tried to rip the country apart.
Yeah.
They rebelled. They lost. We shouldn't be celebrating.
You mean the statues that were made recently? Relatively time-wise.
Yeah, relatively at any fucking point in time.
They were, well, I mean,
And but the thing is, even Robert E. Lee said, you guys shouldn't be memorializing
yeah,
this because it's only going to keep those wounds open.
but they made them statues on opposition of the civil rights movement.
Yeah,
Right?
in reaction to the civil rights movement.
I,
Yeah, they wanted to send a loud message that,
but I don't.
hey, naggers, you guys might be getting them civil rights, but here we still celebrate
Yeah,
slavery in the South.
Christopher Columbus was the guy who was like, we're gonna build this so they'll fucking Mayans understand shit. I mean, like I think that Christopher Columbus is quite literally the guy who found America, and they just made a statue of him.
And a lot of shitty things happened as a result of the Columbian Exchange. A lot of people died and everything. It was exploitative at the same time. He was over here to get money and riches and stuff. It wasn't a noble cause, but at the same time, that was everybody back then.
I know. No, well, I mean, like that's a thing to shit on here. It's like you're coming to an awakening where you're saying, well, there are really no heroes. If you look at somebody, you could find that there's something shitty about them. Like Colin Kaepernick. I mean, what he did, I mean, was a good thing, but did he do it for virtuous reasons? Probably not. Probably did it because he wanted popularity, and it just worked, and he kind of stayed his lane. Martin Luther King himself was doing some shady shit,
Yeah, look at fucking Tom Hanks. He kills puppies.
Yeah, I guess.
Someday we're gonna find out something terrible about him. We'll be like, God damn,
there's always something shitty about somebody, and now we're just destroying everything. Can't have heroes, And maybe
my problem is the way that it's happening. We can choose to redefine ourselves. We could choose to say, you know what, we're going to reject this part of our history. Yes, it happened, but that's not what we stand for anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so but instead of tearing these things down, we need to show that our Constitution and the laws where they're in, and the laws for the different states that it allows and supports and provides structure for, all that still works. And the counter statue movement, it's kind of hard to argue with that, because if there's no due process for this set of statues, then there also shouldn't be a due process for this other set of statues.
Yeah, it's funny too, like fighting for these statues. It's like we're not in that. We're kind of outside looking in. But when they fight for them statues, they're like, no, this is part of history. And I'm like, I really do think there is a place in history for those statues. And it's the real reason they were made, why they were made, and why we should always look to the future and look out for shit like this.
Yeah.
In the 70s, when they made or was it the 30s, when they made these fucking things, they thought they were being virtuous. So really, it is a thing in which we might do this shit again and think we're virtuous, And, like we'll never learn these lessons because we're going to take down these statues. Because it would be great if my kid would ask me the question, why is the statue here? And I can then explain to him, or maybe there would be a little template made to go against the civil rights movement.
There you go. But see, that this goes back to the whole Dave Filoni thing, right?
Yeah.
George Lucas, it's hard to argue that George Lucas made that, with that in mind, dates and the whole story arc.
You're hearing this from Dave Filoni.
Huh?
George Lucas. George Lucas doesn't say shit. This guy's saying shit.
but it goes to that, the true intention of the time when the statues were put there was not to warn people of Confederacy and the problems of trying to keep slaves, by leaving the Union. No, they say, hey, General Lee, the guy that we look up to, the hero of the South, blah 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 blah. They don't put the full context in there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. My problem is I kind of grew up. I thought General Lee was very interesting, not evil like Hitler or something like that. But at the same time, you have to recognize he fought to preserve slavery in the South.
That's true. And then you know what? Like whatever on that, those statues themselves are more than just General Lee. It's what a group of people thought was right at the time. And for unvirtuous reasons.
The group of people in those towns.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to see a statue of General Lee being put up, in like
Baltimore.
Boston or something, or Baltimore.
Yeah,
You know?
but what I'm saying is we'll never learn those lessons, that people can use some past thing, glorify it, and say, I'm right and I made that. No, these guys took
I see what you're
a
saying.
figure from the past and then put it here and then said, hey, yeah, we're doing this for fucking civil rights and da da da. And like, no, they were being racist,
Yeah. Yeah.
conflated the information, and we're here stuck now in the future arguing about the virtueness of this statue. It's memorizing. They win. They fucking win because we're not paying attention to the real lesson. The
To
real
the people that put it there
the people
and
who
their
put
motivations.
exactly, because get this. Right now, racism is a thing. Wait, what happens when it's a thing in which we're like, oh, you guys had cell phones, you're the piece of shit. Or you guys ate meat, you're the piece of shit. You guys locked up people in prisons when they were born with a set outcome. You know, like, when's your time? You know, not you, but you know what I mean? Like, the same fucking people who are not learning their lessons now are going to create new fucking problems. So we're not going to learn. Because this statue isn't like 1,000 years old. These statues are only like 60 years old. You know what I mean? Like, it only takes like 20, 30 years for us to put something, conflate an issue, and there it is. You know? And so it's sad that we're taking these statues down, and not because I'm pro fucking General Lee. I'm anti the message, because what's great now is new. You know, like this whole woke movement is going to find out that they were oppressive. And then in the future, we're going to find a new oppressive force. You know, we don't know what the next thing is. Yeah, it's fun to say, yeah, racism, this. We're inviting another Hitler without even knowing it. He's going to decide, or she is going to decide, this group of people need to die. You know what? Men cause all wars. They need to die. You know, I mean, that's fuck, I guess. Like, hey, you're right. Guys do cause all the wars. Most men rape, you know, they need to die. You know, I mean, you can, that's the next thing. If we do not learn these lessons now, we will repeat them. Yeah. And we can't see the future, but we can learn from the past so we can fix the future, you know? And that's why, like, a lot of things worked the way they did with the checks and balances and such, but we didn't foresee media giving voice to the people. And it makes you think, doesn't it, that maybe people, you know, given freedom doesn't really work. You know, maybe it has to be more nuanced. Maybe people have to have certain freedoms. Like, too much information is bad.
But people do have only certain freedoms. Our freedoms are limited. I'm not free to go and stab somebody down the street. You know, I'm not free to not pay taxes. I'm not free to park wherever I want.
Dude, if you go to certain countries, you can't even, like, be gay. You know, that's
we have more freedoms than other countries,
and no one's
like
free.
Fully free.
Yeah, you can't just, if your legs are broken, you can't just heal them. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to analyze the truth of what freedom is, but let's just brass tacks, we're more free than others for now.
Yeah.
And we saw that, and then we've given people more freedom. They have more information now than they have ever had in all of history. And what did they use it for? It's Twitter. You know, what do they use it for? To Google whatever their bias is. You know, I mean, like, we've had these patterns before. Maybe that's why the religion back in the day was so restrictive. Like, not everyone could have a Bible, because, like, they were thinking, man, these fucking idiots, dude, if they get the Bible, they're going to come up with their own 50 different versions of why they should do a certain thing. That's why only the priests, you know, they may fuck a couple kids here and there, but, like, that's why the priests are able to guide people a certain fucking way. I mean, like, it is a thing where, okay, if you give people too much freedom, they fuck it up. But if you give them a restrictive freedom, then some people fuck it up. So
it's because some people need to be told what's right and what's wrong.
It's true.
You know?
Right now, that's wrong. Them taking them statues is fucking wrong. But like, how it's wrong, and that's the new enemy is this: how it's wrong. Because I could just tell you it's wrong, and then the people who conflate things come out of nowhere. These ethereal beings.
You're fucking racist. You're defending the Confederacy. This and that, blah blah.
And those were made in the Civil War. You know, like, that's not what happened. You know, like, I know more about the issue than you do, but here we are. You know. Yeah, and there's no way to say it. There's no way to say we should not be taking those statues down. If anything, put them in a fucking. I agree with you.
People are too afraid to say it. People are too afraid to say, "Hey, stop taking down these statues."
Yeah, because they're racist.
Yeah, they're not.
What's
Right.
up is
labeled that.
There are people that are racist, and they are saying keep those fucking statues there for unvirtuous reasons. They're like, oh fuck it, was made back in the Civil War. They don't know. They don't know what.
I think the statue should come down, but I feel like the process, there needs to be a process for it.
I agree.
When you have a discussion first, that way, we can redefine our values.
Yeah, because and that's why a leader is important. The leader of America is important not because of what they can do, it's how they galvanize the country. Because that's why Obama was a good president, is because when he said shit, and you don't have to be all about his policies, but at least he was, and George Bush too. I felt when he was saying shit, you got Clinton too. Before he was fucking raping, I mean, he was a leader. He would say something and then you would be okay with it. Trump would say, don't take these statues down. He's a fucking racist. Obama, he
used 4th of July, and standing in front of Mount Rushmore to demonize half of the country. To really say that half of the country is the enemy.
Yeah. Not very excited, huh?
It's not. It wasn't it should be a message of unity. It should be like, hey, you know what? I know we disagree on things, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and we need to figure this out together.
Yeah, it's funny. Obama trying to bring
half of the country wants to, or this. What is it? He said this cultural revolution is trying to undo the American Revolution. That's what he said. And I'm like, I don't understand why trying to eliminate systemic racism is a threat to the nation.
Yeah.
I don't get it. If anything, we're always struggling for a more perfect union. We'll never get there, right? Yeah. But we should always be trying to get there.
And that's why I always thought when he said "Make America Great Again," I thought the quote is, even though that's an old one that we've been using forever, he should have said "Make America Greater," MAG, because you want to make it better, not backwards. And it is going to be better. Naturally, if you look at the stats, America is better than it was before.
Yeah.
But you don't want to say great again. That's stupid. It's better now than it was before.
But that was the message that he wanted.
I know.
Because it was, let's go back to how it was before. And that's why I never understood this group, Lady Antebellum.
Yeah.
The first time I heard the title, I go, why would they call themselves that? Because antebellum, whenever it was used, it's before the Civil War. And it was always used in the antebellum days, things were better back then. People would say that from the South. My antebellum ancestors had this money, and then, after the war, blah, 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 everything went to shit. So antebellum, it's synonymous with a time in this country where we had slaves.
Mm-hmm.
So when they call themselves, I was like, right away I was like, this got to be some kind of country band from the South. And yeah, I mean, fucking nail on the head, right? I just heard the title and I knew where they were from.
Dixie Chicks are changing their name. They're just the Chicks.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I theorize that Lady Antebellum is going to change her name.
Well, they try to change their name to Lady A, but there's already a Lady A out there.
Oh, did they? No.
Who immediately sued them.
That's fucking hard.
But now they got to figure something else out.
They're going to figure their just like the Redskins. You know what's weird? What's another weird thing I just thought about? Okay, so America, we get shit for slaves, but every fucking country on the fucking earth has had slaves. You know what I mean? Their whole economies have been built off of slavery and still is a thing.
Yeah.
America gets the rap.
Yeah, I mean, colonialism. We've been fighting wars and shit on the planet for the past 15,000 years, 20,000 years.
They even have slaves.
What I mean, was it colonialism? Really only died in the late 50s.
Yeah.
You know? It was still around after World War II.
What though? Colonialism is just a clever way of saying people conquering shit.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, Indians were conquering each other. Africans were conquering each other. Everyone's conquering somebody. The only one I think that like can get away with it is Australia. Really? I mean, we just threw a bunch of people there.
No, they had the Aborigines.
Oh, they enslaved
They
them.
kind of they didn't enslave them. They were oppressive,
There you go.
and they were
But
racist.
like I'm saying, like all the fucking countries of the world have enslaved, but America gets this fucking rap, dude. And that is it. That is the history of America. The history of America isn't about Benjamin Franklin anymore, or fucking Nikola Tesla, or any fucking thing.
Well,
Really.
the problem that we have is, we start out with all men are created equal. That's like putting a target on your back, right? That's like me saying I am the buffest fucking dude on the planet. Where everyone's gonna say, obviously you're not.
All men created equals. Nothing wrong with that. I don't get that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but we still had slavery for 100 years after that.
That's true. But at
You know
least
what I mean?
good idea.
And then it took us another 100 years to actually sign a piece of paper that said literally all men are created equal, the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
Well, you know what? Once
Up
again,
until that, we said it, but we didn't practice it.
you're seeing it in the window of your time. They're at the
Yes, but no. I'm not jumping on the USA back, but I'm just saying we made ourselves a target by founding ourselves with that idea that all men are created equal, but it was never fully put into practice until only recently, relatively recently.
But they didn't. People when they made that, they weren't thinking that black people were human.
But because it doesn't work, right? You can't really write all men are created equal except for black people because they're subhuman.
Yeah, but like I said,
That's why they had to do the 3/5 clause.
yeah, no, but like in the window of their time, they're like all men are created equal. They're thinking, us,
Yeah, and they all knew
part of Asia, by the way, because we're brown. I'm just saying, like at that time, those white people were all saying, "Hey, yeah, we're all men created equal." They're talking about kings and queens and all that shit. But
right.
But that works though for what they were doing
they understood what they meant at that time. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Trying to judge, and I see what you're saying, but like we're the only ones who vocalized it, in a way. We had kind of a semblance of an idea that didn't exist at the time. It's not like the Japanese were like all men are created equal. Like of all their men, they had a caste system.
Yeah, they did.
Man, like that in India, they still have a caste system.
Oh yeah.
But America was like, you know what? Of all the people that are like us, and just the white guys, like we're all equal. That's why we have a president and this government. That's what they were getting at. And like other people took that as, what about the black? What about the Indian? And like at that time, they weren't thinking like that. But at least they were trying to do something that no other country has done before.
It was a newer idea at its time.
Yeah, it is, because like you have a system in place of slavery. We have a system in place of slavery, right? Fucking
yeah. They were coming from
cell phone.
They were coming from kings and queens and nobles and knights and shit like that, and then serfs.
Yes, yeah, and
they said no. All men are created equal. In other words, there shouldn't be that kind of hierarchy.
They're all equal, but they didn't think of black people as human. That's why they we were living by what we were thinking of.
But what you were saying is you were saying that everybody shits on America for it.
Yes.
But again, it's because we use those words.
They're just jealous. That's what that is.
Yeah, because we were imposing our influence on a lot of parts of the world. It really wasn't an issue until the 60s, right? Post World War II, when all of a sudden we had the bomb, so we're the bomb.
Yeah.
We landed on the moon, so now we're the technological marvel of the planet.
It gets from like the 50s and on, because we started like imposing.
We started dominating trade, and we started being able to unfortunately, exploit cheaper labor where it was when we found it.
That's when we kind of lost our way. We started outsourcing slavery.
We didn't have colonialism, but we did have ways of using the free market economy.
When you think
to take over countries.
When you think back on it, that's when we started conflating issues. It was, we can't be bad guys because everyone's going to hate us. But if we were to outsource it to other people and made some kind of a weird conflated issue, no one's really going to shit on us because we still have cell phones, we have all this cheap labor, but we're not the bad guys because we're just paying for a guy who's paying for another guy and
Yeah.
another girl fucking across the country, and it makes it all right. And I just it just blows me away when people are like, yeah, we're so better than you, and we're not for slavery, and as they're fucking using their fucking cell phone, tweeting that shit with their fucking clothes made from
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna give up my phone, but
yeah, dude. But then again, you and me go back in time, we probably have slaves because we wouldn't give up our conveniences. Like seriously, like if I took your cell phone away, you'd still probably figure it out. But like if you took everything away made by slaves, we would be naked.
this laptop would be gone.
Yeah. Your clothes, from your clothes to your chair, everything. You'd just be poor. You'd just be nothing. And like we're not willing. You and like we think of ourselves. You and me think of ourselves as like an evolved being, but we're not. We're just there's all these slave states. There's all these steps to slavery that we just because we don't see it. So I theorize that we would be the people who would have slaves, but we would be the people who would be questioning it.
Yeah.
We'd be like, I know we have slaves and Nuba over there, cleans the floors and I don't pay him, but maybe that's wrong. We would be the ones that question it. So like the people who think that they're virtuous and they think they're not down for slavery don't really understand what they're saying.
And if we're presented with a solution that works,
but that's the thing.
We'd be willing to talk about it and work on it.
But that's fought though. So you see what I'm saying?
But like, see, and that's the problem now. I mean, there is an issue with systemic racism, but since it doesn't affect everybody, or people don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
They don't want to look at it. They don't want to acknowledge that they're part of the problem.
It's a weird thing.
They don't want to entertain a solution.
It's weird, right? We have slavery right now. We're actively for slaves as everything we own. We don't want it, but we do. And I wonder if we were to take that away, if we were to take away our ability to export slavery like we have done, meaning we have no more shit, right? Will we fight a civil war over that? Because that's what the Civil War was fought over. You're like, oh, you can't make this cotton anymore. Well, you can. You just can't use slaves. You never. Right. What? That's like saying I'm taking your cell phone, I'm taking your car, I'm taking everything from you. You're like, wait, what? And that's why they fought the war. And I wonder who would be fighting that war? Like who if that happened, if they said no more slavery, like today, that means we lost everything at that point. I don't even know if we would have electricity because we need transistors and things made by other slaves to put into the fucking thing to make the thing make
it. But here's the problem. You have people that have an amount of wealth way more than they need. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why does somebody need to have $10 billion?
Dude, then there you go. You've answered my question I just posed to you. That's what would happen. If you told Jeff Bezos, look, no more. Like no more slavery. It means he has to make it here. That would grow our economy quite a bit. Yeah. But because remember, this comes back to if it doesn't affect the rich.
He wouldn't get to earn as much.
Yeah, that guy would fight that war. They're the cotton makers. They're the ones who are making cotton in the South. These rich fucking guys who are importing slaves. And like, yeah, man, I mean, if we actually realize that we're promoting slavery by these products and these guys shouldn't do what they're doing in those other countries, they have to pay people here and get it shit here or do something of that nature, I guarantee this shit would start a war. They would, I don't know how they would do it, but they would fucking fight a war over it.
It would be an economic war.
Would it? I don't know. I really don't know. But we fought a war back then. So, that's a lot of money, man. You're going from $1 billion or $1 trillion.
They kind of are fighting the war because through lobbying, and special interests, that's what that is.
They're winning. The South is winning.
They're using their money to get politicians to vote in their favor.
That's such a crazy concept, right? Here we are talking on the Zoom. We just, I mean, I never really thought of it like that. I always realized that we were part like slave owner without even knowing it. That's what a clever way of getting people to be down for slavery, is making complicit. But then again, I mean, weren't people complicit back then? What was the spur that helped them separate from slavery? Because right now we're promoting it.
Well, because there was a solution for it back then.
Was
Like,
there?
you guys don't have to get as rich. Because they were making all
That's
kinds
not
of.
how he posed it. Abraham Lincoln wasn't like, "Oh yeah, you guys don't have to get too rich."
Well, I mean, with the cotton gin, what should have happened when the cotton gin came up, they should have been able to start hiring white people to pick the cotton and clean it.
Mm-hmm.
But they saw an opportunity to go ahead and fucking super multiply their income and what they were making by increasing their production,
Yeah.
Tenfold. So it was the greed. Instead of saying, hey, you know what, we can make more money and start paying white people, and still do business by way of this cotton gin, the hand of greed came in and said, no, you could actually just make more money from this, by continuing to use slaves. There was a way to do it. They just didn't want to do it. There was a solution presented, and it should have been the cotton gin.
So
But
so the solution, bringing it back to now, would be the same. It'd be, instead of outsourcing it to Zimbabwe or whatever African country, to get our cobalt mining, we would either pay them or move white people, or not white people, Americans over there to do the thing.
yes and no. I don't think the people at the top should be making as much money as they're making, especially the guys that make money in the money markets.
Yeah, no. See what you're saying? Yeah, taking their money. I hear what you're saying, but they're making that extra money because they're fucking slaving out people. Like, that's
Yes,
my goal, is to get rid of that. So
you have to de-incentivize it then.
eh,
That's literally taking money from
no, you would then say it's illegal.
them. That's what those laws are that say outsourcing laws. But
That
we can't get them passed.
I see.
Spending money on campaigns.
They control information. That's what, how I know that,
That's the other thing too.
because we're the only ones talking about this.
Well, well, when people run campaigns, they get money donated to their campaigns,
Yeah.
or their super PACs that can run independently. So Bezos could put together a super PAC that's going to lobby for the laws that are going to support him, and continuing to make billions of dollars.
No, I think it's worse than that. I think they just own a bunch of news and everything, and they conflate the issue. Rather than talk about the police brutality, we talk about systemic racism. Rather than, I mean, because like it's, if the police were fixed in a way where they couldn't have police brutality, then Floyd's alive. You know what I mean? The very thing that made you mad with systemic racism was really because Floyd gets, bad shit happen to him. Because you fix the police, then you fix that. You're not going to fix the heart of men and women. You're just not. But the issue just gets conflated. Yeah, this is how it would happen. I'd say, let's stop this slavery thing. We would talk about, well, what about this Kevin guy? He works at, Domino's or whatever the fuck, he doesn't seem like a good guy. Look what he said in this podcast right here. See, he's a racist, or something like that. Like, it would get conflated. You would get conflated. We would be destroyed by conflation. And that's the real enemy. It's not about yes and no and ones and twos. It's what's 1 + 1? Apple. And you're like, wait, what? Well, apples are pretty good. And they're, well, why are we talking about fucking apples? What about 1 + 1? And you're like, Chewbacca. Yeah, exactly. Chewbacca defense. And that's why we'll never be able to fix anything, because the people in power figured it out. It wasn't so much as give an answer or give a wrong answer. It's talk about something else. And that's what we're doing actively right now. Not you and me, but I mean, we're shitting on Trump, but why aren't we shitting on how he got there? We're shitting on Biden, but let's talk about the Democrats. They're talking about how they're, pro woke, but they put this white guy, up there, I don't know, man. That somehow bad guys. I don't even know if it's bad guys. I really just think that when people say demons, I think it was our old time wisdom discovering that we can make an ethereal thing that we cannot stop, like a bad thing, that it's an idea, like a corporation. You can't attack a corporation. You can kill Jeff Bezos. That corporation's still going. And it's a corporation, you can't touch it. Like if I touch Amazon's sign, that's not touching the corporation. How would you obliterate a corporation? You couldn't. It's not a real thing. Like this conflation of the Floyd dying. It was police brutality that did this. You know, we need to fix that. We need to put a system in place where that doesn't happen. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about that and Black Lives Matter, you know, and Black Lives do matter. But we're not talking about that. Now we're talking about Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter, you know, and like in the both comments, you could say they're both legit things to say, you know, but we're not talking about that anymore. We've gotten off topic, and that it maybe that's what the demon is, the demon that doesn't exist. It's people have modes of thinking and they can't center.
It feels like everybody's talking over each other too.
Well, yeah, and they all have good points.
But it almost feels like people don't want to or don't have the energy, or they got too much going on to figure out what those points are.
Yeah.
They just look at they could look at their skin color and assume, oh, okay, they're African American, so they're probably pro Black Lives Matter, and I'm not with that, so I'm not gonna listen to them.
Yeah.
Or they are holding a Black Lives Matter sign, so I'm just not gonna listen to them.
Yeah.
Well, they just said all lives matter, so they're fucking ignorant and stupid, and I'm not gonna listen to them.
Yeah, and people don't even want to have a conversation. You'd be like, you're either pro mask or against mask, but you don't even know why you're against it. You're just thinking,
right?
They got conflation of numbers. Like, well, some people die of a heart attack, and they say that's COVID. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with you wearing a mask?
Well, I have a right to breathe.
Yeah. So you're having a different conversation. You're not talking about the reason you're not wearing the mask. You're talking about something else, you know? I mean, like that mask is supposed to protect other people, not you.
Right.
But that's not a sentence that's coming out. It's I can't breathe, CO2 content's too high, things like that, you know? And I didn't even know that was a thing until somebody told me, you know? Somebody was like, yeah, I can't breathe in that mask, so therefore I don't have to wear it. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about here, you know? And I don't really care, honestly. 10%, take it away, you know? I like a lot of this, the talk and the things that we talk about, like, let shit happen. Men want to be women that want to fight other women. Let it happen. Then your little girl will not want to be in sports. There you go. That's what you want. You want equality, women? You know, be garbage men too.
I think we talked about that one time. We said, okay, let's let them all play together.
Yeah, I like
it's gonna happen. You're not gonna have.
Just go with it. Just go with this philosophy. Let it happen. The things that people want they don't really understand what they want. You want women in sports, then you need to stop this. You don't want them in sports, then do that. You know, you don't want the same things. A lot of people, Democrats and Republicans, you get these fucking outliers. They go, we all want the same thing. No, you do not want the same things. In one instance, everyone has to be poor, you know, for the common good. In one instance, some people have to be poor and some people have to be rich. You guys don't want the same thing, you know, and then I don't know, I'm losing my track, but I mean, let people die. And that's where I'm at. I am tapping out because I'm fizzling. I'm ranting more. I don't know.
No, I think
good one.
We went all over the place.
We did. We went from games to Superman to this. I don't even think I got into all the topics. Yeah, no, I did. Earth's flat, Trump. Oh, I got one last thing. One last thing. This movie called 365 Days on Netflix, they want it off because it's about this lady who gets kidnapped and raped, and then she ends up falling in love with the guy who did this. And so everyone's all like, it's like 50 Shades. And they're saying, you're glorifying raping and sex trafficking. So that's why that should be on Netflix. And I'm like, how come you don't like sex trafficking and rape, but murder's okay, torture's okay? Like, there's all sorts of bad shit out there and a whole plethora of bad shit. Beating children. There's movies with beating children, you know? Why is it that this movie, and it's a movie, by the way, It's not real. It's a movie. You know, why is rape movie no good? And I'm not down for this fucking movie anyways. I don't even give a fuck. But why do we give a pass to the murdering movies and the murder, violence, and but the rape? No way, Jose. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, was it the Joker shoots? Was it Murray on his show? And Murray wasn't threatening his life.
He's a bad guy.
He was a dick to him, but that doesn't deserve the death penalty. And everybody was into the Joker.
Yeah. Well, I never even think about it like that. But why is that? Why is it we shit on that? And like, I'm down if you want to shit on that, let's do it. But like, why do we make this thought?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the movie, right? But you can have the conversation. But is the movie still on Netflix? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're probably gonna remove it. I mean, this kind of backlash is big, so they're probably gonna remove it.
I think it depends on how it's presented. I mean, is it
Doesn't
celebrated?
Does it matter?
Huh?
Does it matter?
Because if the crux of the movie is that it's a good thing that this happened, then no, right? But
there's movies where people kill each other and it's a good thing, like Dexter.
Yeah, but at the same time, wow.
It glorifies murdering people as long as they're bad. I'm not saying, hey, dude, I don't fucking care. Honestly, I just thought that was it's weird that we make this distinction. Yeah, rape bad, glorifying it bad. I've never actually seen the movie. I just read the synopsis. But the rapey chick gets in love with the dude, and that's why you're glorifying.
Well, it's because there's certain violence that seems to be okay, right? I would say that
Like
I don't think anybody's glorified like the Holocaust. You know what I'm saying? You have Schindler's List, but it's not glorifying the Holocaust.
Inglourious Bastards, or no, Django, they're fucking up.
But see that, and for some reason that's okay. I would have to think about this more, Kev, because
I know, right?
Do you think there's certain kinds of violence that are okay and not okay?
No, they're all the same. They're one and the same. Like torturing.
They are one and the same, but maybe it's because the Holocaust is something that really happens to a lot of people, and
rape happens to a lot of people.
Rape happens to a lot of people, and a lot of times, I mean most of the time,
yeah,
there are survivors.
Yeah, and the logic doesn't stand. It just doesn't.
It does. It's hard.
I know, right? No, I don't care. Like, honestly, if they took down it's just an intellectual thought. It's take it away. I don't care. But how come we're not taking away all these other movies? Why is it that why do we make a distinction between rape and murder? Like, they're both bad. Torture, and rape. Rape, and anytime you abuse a woman, and well, not even abuse. I mean, just rape itself.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a hard scene to watch if I ever see something like that.
Agreed. I am not.
I watch John Wick, and I would watch the fucking fights over.
Yeah. It's like we make this distinction in our society that like violence is okay, but not the rapey stuff. Can't do that. And we glorify some violence, even if it's bad. I mean,
it's hard to say that one is worse than the other, because then say that to somebody whose mom was murdered.
Yeah, or tortured.
You can't equate it, because in both instances you're violating.
Or enslaved, or being eaten.
Right.
Like Hannibal's about eating people. That's not a good thing. They make that a good thing, And then, or in Django, I mean, they make slavery not a good thing, but it's there. It is being glorified. And then I was gonna say just abusing women, but then I was like, oh wait, Kill Bill.
I don't think Django's glorifying. It's not glorifying slavery, but it's glorifying revenge.
It's fine slavery.
That's not an attitude that we would want right now. Because again, we don't want revenge. We want justice.
Well, we don't want rape. We don't want rape. We don't want slavery. We don't want a lot of these things, but the rape one is there.
So maybe it's because usually when there's killing, if it's if it's a murderer and you're trying to catch that person, it's not usually glorified. Like, hey, this is a thing. This is an awesome thing.
Sometimes it is.
You
Dexter's I guess good example because he.
when you have the protagonist, but I don't know that anybody would be saying in this movie 365. Again, I haven't watched it,
You don't.
but
Have,
I can't imagine that anybody is saying that it's glorifying rape.
well, I mean, she falls in love with the guy who raped her.
That's still not glorifying rape. I mean, it's what is it?
All right, fine.
There's
Let's take out words glorify. Let's say the action of girl rape.
why are we opposed to seeing one action on screen versus another action?
Exactly. I mean, there's despicable things out there. I mean, I hate to be enslaved. I mean, that's pretty fucking. I'd rather die, honestly. But I mean, for some reason, and the rape is pretty fucking shitty too. Like, I'd rather.
I sincerely hope that the movie's not trying to justify rape.
Well,
know?
That sounds like justification, doesn't it?
But at the end, I mean, are they saying that this beautiful relationship came out of it?
I kidnap the synopsis. I kidnap woman, I rape woman, and then she falls in love. That's 50 Shades of Grey or whatever the fuck. That's our comparison. I mean, like, is the synopsis.
But I mean, at the end, are they like happily ever after? Is that the kind of ending? Or at the end, is there like always this feeling of like I love you, but you did this terrible thing to me?
I mean, fuck. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. How does the movie treat it?
Just keep it at that level. Right? She falls in love. Let's just say she's cool with it.
But it might not be that black and white though. There's got to be more nuance to it. I have to believe that there's more nuance to it. I don't think anybody would write like a rom-com with rape.
There's backlash. This shit's gone. I'm telling you, they're gonna take this movie gone.
I mean,
say they
is it a movie worth studying? Like I said, is it a rom-com where just like obviously not comedy? I'm just saying, is it a movie that doesn't address how bad rape is and that this person is still a bad person at the end of the day for having done this?
There's terrible movies of murder out there. It doesn't make it right.
But John Wick. There's a lot of murdering going on.
Yeah.
But in the story it's justified, right?
Yeah.
They killed his dog, they took his car.
Well, as if
nobody better fuck with my cars.
But the
right?
rape never be justified. You can never justify that.
Right. But for entertainment value, we know it's wrong to go on and shoot people. We know it's wrong that if this thing happens here, we would want to retaliate this way. It's almost like a because we're kind of violent by nature, right? I mean,
we're human, yeah. We eat
meat. So it's a release.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I know that that's wrong, but it's cool to see it. And just get that out, that primal urge out of ourselves to defeat our enemies and conquer them.
Nah, you're talking about murdering though, not raping.
But because I don't see too many movies, that again that at the end it's like it's good that he killed those people and ate them.
They're out there though.
They're out there, but you don't see anybody really defending that point of view, really saying Hannibal Lecter was a good guy. You still see he was a bad guy.
Well, shit, watch Hannibal. The
OG one. We'll go back to the OG one.
No, even the OG one, the second one, they made him all right because he was killing bad guys.
Oh, he was eating bad guys?
Yeah.
If you look at the first one, he kills that guard. That guard's just doing his job, trying to transport him from place to place. He takes the fucking face, right?
Bad guy. No. Like, there's no situation where you're gonna justify rape. Period. That's just the way.
Right. But I
saying as long as
I'm trying to figure out here why we're okay with murder. I don't think anybody's okay with rape.
No one is.
Because if you fantasize about that, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a pretty strong fantasy.
Right.
So you must be watching too many movies at that point. You're desensitized. Because
beating the sand, tying somebody down or whatever, you still have their consent. That's still happening.
Not to be down for that means I like steak, right? But I don't like steak and A1 sauce. That means I don't eat enough steak to get to that point where I need steak and more stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I like meat and potatoes. I don't need meat, potatoes, and a clam. You know, like I, the rape is a bit that's far removed from where you
Right.
be. Like I'm literally a meat and potato. I hate to say it, I am like a meat and potatoes kind of guy. Let's just say, you know, that's how I am.
We're
And
talking about sex though.
yeah, and I mean, I don't need extreme things. I don't need all this stuff. It's too much. I don't need it. And I know that once you get to a certain level of things, just like food or video games or movies, you need more. You just need to keep going up.
So positions, only one position.
But it gets to a point if you keep getting the same more things, positions, then maybe another girl, or maybe another girl in this, maybe this and this, and maybe a
No, there's a line,
there's
but I
a
think
line. But as long as you see, that's the cool thing about women and dudes, is that the woman really, she, unless she's fucked up in the head, but like usually she's the one who's stopping the man's inhibitions to keep one upping. Like, I want to do this, I want to do this and this, I want to do this and this and this, and then I want to do this and this and this. Really, I mean, because it's a real thing. Like if you go into a club, you're not looking at a girl like, let's fuck, you know, I want to empty inside you. That's just not going to happen. You're going to jail. And a woman will never come up to a guy and say, yeah, I want you to do this to me. That's never going to happen. I mean, it does maybe in the rarest, but maybe,
there's exceptions. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
speaking, dudes are a little bit more hardcore. And if you just keep giving them what they want, they're just going to keep going up and up and up. And I'm not saying that that's everybody, but most guys. And everybody has this proclivity for keep going up. I mean, that we don't just eat bread and water. We eat like things with our food. And it just never stops. And then there's levels to everybody. And I think the rape thing is just a manipulated version of that. Like they just kept going, you know? They wanted this, they wanted that, and then they got to that.
But that's yeah. I've heard arguments that it's a power thing.
It is a power thing. Fucking for real. Most things are a power. You know, that's always a power dynamic for everything. But I'm just saying, like, just examine your own life. It's mostly you just kept going up. And the thing that stops you really is really a woman. Like in that respect. I mean with porn and stuff, it's like you can just keep going, I guess. But these guys who are into the rape, I mean, I think they just got there. Like they didn't just get there. It was an evolution thing. You don't just wake up, rape. You know, like I don't think that's a thing. But that's neither here nor there. You got rape, and then you got killing, and then for some reason, we've just made this line in the sand. And I'm for it. I'm definitely for it. I don't fucking care. Take the movie away. I don't think they should have ever made it. I can't see why you would have made this, but they made it. But it brought the thought: how come these murder movies and shit? Now, I mean, there's movies where kids get molested, and that shit's still there, and I'm really anti that. So I mean,
I'd be interested in watching it again to hear them out, right? I really don't see a way
there's no way,
to justify. I don't see it,
you,
right?
dude. You could even justify a child molesting movie like Sleepers. It's about rape of children.
Yeah, if at the end they would have been like, instead of killing the guy, hey, let's hang out and have beers. Okay, great. And at the end they're all buddy buddies.
They
I'd
can
be like,
they can
oh fuck.
they can eliminate that movie. I'll never watch it again. You know, that's just the way it is. And this rape movie too, get rid of it. But that's who I am. But I don't understand why I made that distinction. This is what I'm just not into that. Maybe that's it.
Wait, Sleepers was a good movie.
Yeah, I can't get behind Kevin Bacon telling a dude to suck his own dick. That's a kid. So
Yeah, I mean they didn't show it, but they
it matter.
well, it's because that kind of shit happens,
It
and all of a sudden it was because but the crux of the movie was, you know what, there's this
the
there
pre.
was this hideous fucking person here,
Yeah.
and he got what he deserved,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it happened outside of the law.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Should they still pay for it or not? And at the end of the movie, you can still say, I mean, that one, it's hard to argue either way too, because that guy should have still been through due process, but did he deserve to die? Should he have spent the rest of his life in jail? What should have happened?
But I'm not the guy to have these conversations. I'm just saying, like, I don't watch movies all the time for fucking like I'm just questioning the reason why you got this backlash, right? Why is it we get backlash, rape movie needs to go, but you have all these other fucking movies? Why can't they go? You know,
it
why
it it's
fine?
the treatment of it. It's the treatment of it. If the movie is trying to say, right, that you can be raped by somebody and then eventually engage in a fruitful relationship with them, and is trying to push a story where, hey, this could happen, you know, yeah, you were raped, but look at this, you know, this might happen.
I
Then
don't.
I would have a big fucking problem with that movie,
Okay,
right?
I agree.
Um,
But there's
but
movies out there that justify murder, which isn't good.
you're
Even if there's no way you can justify rape, but say
you can justify murder. That's the problem. We have the death penalty, which is murder,
yeah,
justified. You know, you can justify it.
okay,
You can't justify rape.
with
You
child.
can't say you can't say you know um
If they get rid of this rape movie, they should get rid of all movies with rape in it. Period. If
right.
that's your reasoning, but
Yeah.
that's sleepers.
I don't think they should get rid of this movie. Uh, I mean,
Wow,
it should probably be locked behind a wall. In other words, that kids can't watch it.
I agree with that.
And and
That's
and I hope it lends itself to a conversation.
of why we're okay with one thing rather than another.
Maybe
And that is a good question that we bring up in the next podcast.
because it's what I said about Trump. It's important to be heard to hear this thing, so that you can argue against it. You know what I'm saying?
Not the fight that I want. I hear with the idea of the fight. You're right technically, but this is the one I'm gonna let the woke movement take.
Yeah,
But
maybe it doesn't have to be said, right? Because so many people, it's like one of those unanimous things. Do we have to have a discussion about
every,
Hitler bad?
every
Is there ambiguity there? Is there nuance? No.
I wish you hadn't said that because it just clicked in my head. Sympathy for the devil, like make a movie about Hitler and how he was right, Oh my gosh. You may have spurned that, dude. Because I mean, if we're willing to let this movie go due to you could do that. I mean, you can make anyone if you can make Hitler sympathetic.
Fuck, man. I I I find Hitler very interesting, right? That not somebody look up to, but just somebody to look at and be like, how the fuck
Of course,
did this guy get these ideas into people's heads and get a whole country to go along with him
dude, if they
on this crazy fucking thing?
mm-hmm,
Right? How did he do that? And then how did that person come out? You know, not so much sympathy for the devil, but understanding how did this devil form?
because
You
people
know,
love that guy.
love Hitler,
Yeah,
the devil, Hitler.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you have the neo Nazis and shit like that.
No. People loved him, like as in at that time.
Oh yeah. He was fucking Michael Jackson, right? You know, they were fainting when
He had to have done something. All right. So I think there is a movie out there, not now, but I bet there'd be a movie out there you can make it if you do it for Dracula, right? I mean, there's a movie where, Bram Stoker's Dracula, you're supposed to feel sympathetic for him, I mean, there's movies where the villain is sympathetic, so you could do it for Hitler.
Thanos.
Yeah. What's
You kind
weird?
of felt bad for him at the end, you know? Did you do it?
He killed way more people.
What did it cost? What did it cost? Everything. And you felt bad. You're like, oh, he had to give up his daughter. Wait, but he killed out the fucking universe. Why am I feeling bad for this guy?
No. So there you go. I mean, if you can make a movie about Thanos and it's like, shit, I feel bad. You can do that.
I guess what it is at the end of the day, I don't want to be one of those people that just shat on something and said, no, you're fucking wrong without even hearing them out.
There ain't nothing you can tell me that
because I don't know what the premise of the movie is.
Just fucking told you like 3 fucking times.
No, but you gave me an idea of what happens in the movie. But what is the message though?
Dude, sometimes, dude, when the dildo
Because
goes in the ass,
okay,
there's a message there, dude.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh yeah, but that's not.
Blue guy's trying to stay safe. He needs his rings. His rings are in San Francisco, so they road trip across the country to get his rings. And along the way, there's this crazy fucking dude chasing him. But that's not what the story's fully saying. It's talking about the importance of friendship. How being isolated doesn't make you stronger. It actually keeps you in the same place, and eventually, you'll see that you needed friends to
I hear what you're saying.
there's more to it. So, but
saying
there
that's art.
there might not be more to this. I'm not saying that the movie.
Even
I'm not saying that there's a way to justify it, but I kind of want to hear what their argument is so that I can call bullshit on it intelligently.
even if like fucking the best writers that ever existed, best actors who ever existed, created a movie where a guy kidnaps a woman, rapes her, and then she falls in love with him, that's still not good. It's no. No.
I agree.
Agree with you that there are some conversations to be had.
In case I got cut out, hang on. In case I got cut out, I agree with what Kevin's saying, but I want to be able to shut the person down if they're here in front of me, and they're saying, "Well, did you watch the movie?" No, I didn't. Well, then you didn't get this part, this part, this part. Well, if I watched the movie, I'd be like, you know what? That part wasn't very fleshed out, or that part wasn't even in there, or this line wasn't there, or whatever. I can counterpunch and not just be like, I didn't see it.
Do you need?
You don't need much. No, you don't need much.
You need a dick in your ass to know that you want that or you don't want that. No, you don't need
No.
to. You need
No.
to go on certain journeys to get to the end point. You don't need to swallow.
Well, watching a movie is not the same as getting a dick in the ass, Kev. Watching a movie is watching a movie, or reading about somebody getting a dick in the ass, as opposed to actually getting a dick in the ass. Is very, very different.
Apparently, you don't know because you never had it.
No, I watched Shawshank Redemption. I don't want that shit to happen to me.
But
I don't want to do anything illegal and end up in prison.
The dynamic of the story is like he says he didn't want it, but fucking secretly he did.
That doesn't come out in the movie.
You don't, but you never know.
Andy Dufresne never says it. Never
heard that made a point, and David Filoni extrapolated from George Lucas that dick in the ass was good. He said
again, I would have heard him, and I still would have disagreed with him. It's just I don't know what the argument the movie's trying to make is. I mean, I don't really see a way of it successfully trying to say that, that's the kind of light at the end of the tunnel that you should look for if you got raped. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a point about this. Do you know what Paragard is?
Paragard?
Mm-hmm.
No.
They make commercials. It's basically, the commercial is yoga, some lady doing yoga, sunset on the beach, that kind of thing. And that's the commercial. Paragard, be free, that kind of thing, right? Paragard is a thing that women put in them to make them not have babies. All right?
Okay.
But here's this commercial of this lady going like this, yoga, sunset, being free. It really is for dudes to blow loads in them.
Yeah.
I mean, so really, who's the advertisement for? It's the woman who's all about dudes just dropping loads in them.
Okay.
Dudes able to drop loads. Kind of like,
I'm listening to you.
It's like, but what am I watching here? This lady's doing yoga, sunset. I think this commercial is really for me, though, because I want my woman to have that. It's more for the dude. So why is it even being marketed for chicks? Because as a chick, I'm doing yoga. I wouldn't be able to do this if I had a baby. Is that what?
Did you get pregnant from doing yoga?
I don't know. I guess that one leads into the other. They should be like as she's doing yoga. Do you like coming in chicks? Then use God. Here, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Rape is bad. Paragard.
I agree.
I couldn't defeat the process of how you were thinking, because on paper it should work, but sometimes what's on paper isn't what needs to be said. And I just decided to go with blowing loads.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, because like, I mean, you don't need to do certain things. I mean, it makes sense what you're saying. But is it the fight that we want to fight? Is it a thing we need to say? It isn't. It's take the shit away. There's no way to justify it. There's no way to say John Wick is okay because of this, this, and that, you know, but yet this rape movie, without even talking about it, is not good.
doesn't sound good.
There's nothing you can do to make that fucking story right. But you're right. I mean, there should be a place where you can defeat that idea. But
I'd like to counterpunch effectively if I ran into somebody that tried to say it.
Yeah.
And try to maybe point at this movie to be able to. I don't see it.
Have a conversation with that person, though. That's the thing.
Maybe that's got to be our homework for the next pod.
Fuck it. If I'm Edgar telling you, oh, bro, you need to see this movie, why the fuck are you so hardcore about me watching this rape movie? What really is happening here?
Right. Right.
This fucking conversation. And all I did was pose an idea. I was just like, why are we okay with this and not with that? But I'm not the guy to even win this argument. I will never be the guy who's like, bro, you need to watch this fucking movie because this will redefine everything. No, fucking what? What are we doing?
I don't see me being able to learn much from it.
Well, that some extreme situations, love can blossom.
That might be what it's trying to say.
And I don't give a fuck. I don't care. That's just a thing that shouldn't happen. All because love blossoms from this shitty situation just means that something happened out of a shitty situation. Maybe not have this shitty situation. There's many a time where people kind of come up with their ideas like, well, this wouldn't have happened if I hadn't had this shitty situation. I don't fucking care. I just don't want that shitty situation to ever happen. I don't care what good came out of it. You know, like the guy who gets the $1 million and his family dies. Maybe he shouldn't have got maybe his family shouldn't die. Maybe you should just stop there with the logic process. When you start thinking in these ways, you confuse yourself.
But see, it depends on how it treats the rapist, though. I mean,
it's on Netflix. Check it out.
Is there justice there, you know, or do they not pay any price or any consequence?
If they fall in love at the end of the movie, does it? Oh, you're saying like he must have lost his dick, so that's like, yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't watched the movie. I mean, I know what the basic idea of it is, but I don't know what the message is.
Fun. He fucking rapes her. They get together. Wads are blown. That shit's done. Game over. Happily.
Okay. I mean, I hate working in hypotheticals, but let's say there's a movie out there where this girl gets raped but she raises and loves the son that comes out of it. You know,
okay.
Or the daughter that comes out of it.
Thing though, that does happen.
That does happen. And can you make a movie about that?
Yeah, of course you could.
Is that glorifying rape?
Mm-mm.
No, right? So again, that's why I'm kind of going to, what's the treatment of the rapist in this movie?
They get married happily ever after.
And I mean, I really don't see a way of getting behind this movie, because then what it says to people who might be thinking about rape as an option, like, you know what, man, you know, if I go out and rape this girl, she might fall in love with me at the end.
But with the right conditions, you can murder somebody. As long as they kill your dog, it's okay. Boom. Boom. It's a crazy trick, right?
But the thing about those movies, it's also absurdist, right? To think that it's okay for us to go out and murder. We do it anyways. The war, right?
Yeah, but so is the other one, man. That's absurd, right? It is extremely absurd. There's no way you're gonna make that all right.
Yeah, I can't. I mean,
but even
I'm trying to think of a story that could.
No matter. Even if it did work, I don't care if it was the best piece of fucking art on the earth. It doesn't matter.
No, if it did work, then it would work. But I don't see a way that it would work.
Maybe there are some problems that can't work.
And I wouldn't doubt that there's got to be very few exceptions where somebody was raped and then they fell in love with them.
It's perverse. You're taking a shitty thing and trying to make it into a lens where it works. It's something. I guess we got away with murder because murder was a thing you could do, but rape never got across that threshold, and neither should it. So I think that maybe murder should never have crossed the threshold. We kept asking the question, what if this was all right? And then finally we have these movies, and this is where we're at. I think if once again, if you just let this go, if you let this one, huh?
Said something, maybe we never should have crossed that threshold,
Mm-hmm.
of portraying murder.
I love me some John Wick, so I'm thinking like in retrospect, maybe we should have never did that, and maybe because we opened the door, and this is the thing they fought against with the censorship and everything. So it kind of poses the question: what do you want? Do you want everything or nothing?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the movie should be like censored. Whether it's worth watching, who knows? I mean,
let the freedom be. Let it. If you like garbage, that's who you are.
It might be enough to read a review about it. To read a few reviews about it. It might be enough to read those without even having to watch the movie really, and get the main beats. If somebody out there is willing to write down after watching it and saying, "Hey, this is worth watching,"
I don't care what someone would say, how that's a good thing.
It's because it might be worth watching to point out the bullshit that's in it.
That's your homework assignment right there. Just watch that fucking movie. It's on Netflix. Go get after it.
Are you gonna watch it?
No, fuck. No,
Okay. I'll watch it for us.
You come from the stance like you need to do this to get to the. I am of the woke stance on this one. On this one, I'm taking woke side. I'm like, I judge it accordingly. This shouldn't be made. They should never have done.
I'll watch it for us, and I'll probably just give you some ammunition so that you don't.
If I were to watch Terminator, I would edit the part where they're fucking, because I don't need it. There's all parts in movies where I don't need. I don't.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Maybe showing that they start to make love, but you don't need to see Linda Hamilton's breasts.
And you don't. Yes, I don't. I don't need slow motion. Doo-doo-doo.
Take my breath away. No.
I've always, even as I grew up, I still fast forward. It made me uncomfortable. It was like, what the fuck is this? There's a lot of little movies that are out there that are unnecessarily gratuitous, and I think that is the.
Yeah, that was that one.
You don't need it, but then if I don't need that, then the violence. Then you're just like, fuck. So I don't know, but that like I said with the rape movie, I'm fucking done with it.
We like violence.
I am anti that violence.
Yeah, me too.
I'm the way with kids too. If I see kids getting hurt, I don't watch the movie. That's the way it is. I don't watch kids get violent. I don't watch rape. I don't want murder. I can do. I can handle it to an extent. Even then, I wince a little.
What about Lord of the Flies?
That's not too bad though. They don't really get too graphic. The rock dropping on that kid's head is pretty fucked up, but it's not too graphic. They do cut away a lot. Them killing the deer, that was fucking crazy. And kids running around in their underwear. That's uncomfortable. I don't know. Yeah, no, that's a thing. Shit.
Yeah.
Man, if was it Eli Roth, if he got a hold of fucking Lord of the Flies, for rape.
There's only going to be 2 kids left alive at the end of that.
Dude, in that movie, they're raping and murdering. Dude. Men are fucked up, and men without leadership, role models, will do some fucked up things. And you have a bunch of adolescent boys on a fucking island. Eli Roth.
It's primal. I think it goes primal.
Yeah. There's always men, too. Women don't do that shit.
At least in movies.
I don't know. I think they would argue a lot. Maybe someone should explore that.
I don't know. You see that video of those women arguing and the other woman pulls a gun on them and then...
Oh, yeah. The new Karen?
Yeah.
It's Karen. That's all that is.
Well, she shouldn't have got out of the car. They were safe inside their car. They could have called the cops. They didn't have to escalate it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stupidity out there.
Yeah, on both sides, the ladies were fucking stupid. Hey, hey, you bumped into me. Are you gonna apologize? No, fuck you. Oh, well, then fuck you too, and then walk away.
Yeah.
Why fucking stalk people to their cars and shit?
I'm trying to think about like if I've been in an altercation like that where it just escalated. I'm the escalator. I am. I want it to happen more than they do. And they're just like, oh shit.
I want it to happen more than they
Yeah.
do.
It's usually. I'm older now, so I don't do it as much, but usually I'm be the one poking. Like, what are you gonna do? Get my head in their face and shit. See what they do. Because I always wanted it more. Like I wanted it. Cause I'm dumb. So that's how that works out. I'm older now, so I don't do that shit. But I don't know. I say that until the adrenaline hits. It just
Yeah,
happens. Yeah,
those
dude.
ladies had probably already pushed a bunch of people's buttons, and they finally picked the wrong one.
They probably watch Fox News all fucking day, believing that. And the other one is just like watching the still photos of Floyd getting choked, and so they're both fucking level 10, and they just went after each other. Like because for every extreme on one side, there's an extreme on another. I physically can't watch the Floyd guy get the get the
I
knee.
watched it once, dude, and I was just like, I think I'm watching this guy die. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, they said he died. I'm like,
Yeah.
am I watching him die, or was he injured there and then he died later?
I saw still photos that bothered me, and then I watched the video just for integrity's sake, so we could talk about it.
No, we watched a guy die on camera. That
Yeah,
was
and I was just like, "Fuck this!" And then you hear people try to fucking talk about it like, "Well, he is a bad guy and he did this." I'm like, "What? Why is that?"
you, you didn't deserve that.
So wait, are they Judge Dreads out there? Is that what this is?
Right. Yeah, I keep making that same analogy too. I'm like that.
Yeah,
This is not Judge Dredd.
yeah. I don't give a fuck what he did. It's you can't do that to a person, and then that's what really we should fight, not racism. We should be fighting the fact that they have the ability to do that. But that's
Well, systemic racism where due process gets skirted because maybe you're poor or the color of your skin.
shit. If that guy was Asian, man, or a white guy, that could have happened to him. And the same thing is there. The police that did that.
You know what? There's something really. Have you ever seen on YouTube the Audit?
Oh,
I think I might turn you on to this.
audit. I haven't even heard of that.
Audit the Audit. So what they do is they I'm gonna send you a link to a good one.
Do
What they do, sorry?
Do it.
Yeah, what they do is they look at videos of police encounters, right? And they break down the laws in the state or in that city, and whether or not the people were exercising their rights correctly in that video, whether the officers overstepped their authority as police officers, whether people were trying to call in rights that they really don't have in certain situations, and it's really really interesting. I fucking went down the rabbit hole with those guys.
Dude, yeah,
But
it's interesting.
but they break down ones, and they don't always side. Usually they side with like the people that are recording, right? Because usually they're catching cops fucking up, but sometimes they side on the side of cops. So at the end they grade, and then they actually they justify the grades that they give the police officers or the civilians. And so it's really really interesting to see, and it kind of gives you insight to what your rights are when you're out there walking around.
Maybe I've seen a clip of that on Facebook.
You might have seen one, but you didn't like continue to follow them.
That's not hard for me to find. Audit the Audit. That's pretty easy in my.
It's pretty easy to find. There's like two main dudes. I love the way they break them. The videos seem to be like the perfect length, 13 to 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Very intelligent, and very what is it? Very impartial. They're very impartial because sometimes they'll call out like, hey, the person that's recording here, they're actually wrong.
Whoa.
The rights that they're trying to enforce here, against officers, they actually don't have them in this instance because they're in this private property or this public property, or the officers presented themselves this way or whatever. They're all about due process in that video. So there's some really good ones. I'll go through their channel and I'll find one that kind of left me like, oh shit.
Well, you know what? Probably I'm probably gonna just fucking find it myself because that sounds right up my alley. I probably have seen it. Hey, I gotta cut this. I gotta go. It's
Yeah.
morning. Gotta go.
All right, man.
All right, man. Anyway, as always, if you like the podcast, please like and subscribe. It's on the YouTube, Podcastforwe, share away. We're on Facebook, iTunes, all that good shit. As always, be the better person than you were yesterday, and don't be that shitty person who just judges stuff right away, like me with rape. Don't be me. You see rape, it's bad, but be me. Question it. Question the validity of rape. All right.
Peace out.